Ladies and gentlemen, power is over. But that does not mean for one instant of a second that the fun is over. Without a doubt, you are here because the power is out. So stick around, because it's Power Out. Yeah, it's Power Out.
What's going on, friends? Thanks so much for tuning in to your Love Wrestling double feature of reactions. As you just saw, we kind of skipped our little pre-show gimmick that we usually do here on Power Out, but NXT has been so punctual lately. We want to reward the audience by really just jumping in and getting the show started. As you can see, I am once again joined by a wrestling gal, Ella J. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me back, Zach. I'm so glad to be back on Love Wrestling.
Honestly, anytime you want to come back, you are always more than welcome. Between yourself and Josiah McDonald, like I think I'm developing like a kind of like a core rotating cast of special guest hosts, and you are always welcome back. And thank you everyone who's tuning in right now, whether you're joining us live on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, whether you're joining us after the fact on demand, or whether you're catching us on Podbean. Thank you much for tuning in. And once again, thank you to our amazing sponsors at RK Athletics out of Edmonton, doing amazing work out there. If you are in the area, if you want to get look into personal fitness packages, they are the people to speak to. And of course, if you're not in Edmonton, that's okay, because they have online resources for you as well. Just reach out at rkathletics.ca or at rkathletics on Twitter, rkathletics1 on Twitter or Instagram. The Power Out crew is already popping into the chat. We got Ed and Astrid. Ed, hey, it's Ella J, and Astrid, Ella.
Hey, Astrid. Hey, girl. Hey.
They will, of course, be joining us on this very stream. You won't have to go anywhere after this episode. They're going to jump right into your reaction for NXT this evening, and they are joined by Bubba Duke from Turnbuckle Talk right here on Love Wrestling as well. So with that being said, like usually we don't cover Power Surge here on Power Out, because usually it's just like kind of a clip show non-event. But when I saw the card that they had lined up, I confirmed with Ella, like we gotta cover this card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I actually got to see a couple of the matches in person back in August at NWA weekend. So that was super fun to see them finally.
Right. Yeah, it's the kind of the benefit of like them throwing matches from all these tapings together, this bit of a clip show. You get to stroll down memory lane, so to speak.
Definitely, too. There was a lot of action tonight.
Absolutely. I want to say hi to Trash Bag Theater, who is always a pleasure to see when they join us on the stream. Good to see you, friend. Thank you so much for tuning into tonight's Power Out. So with that, the show kicks off. We got a great match between JTG and Slice Boogie. Very aggressive through and through. Like even like at the beginning, they're working a very technical style. Then it gets like really more physical. But that aggression really just prevailed throughout the whole match. Towards the end, we get Colby Carino, who is a bit of an ally with JTG, come running out. He comes out. He distracts Slice Boogie, but he's neutralized by your pal Sal Renaro, who finds himself in JTG sights. We get a whole brawl. JTG's brawling Sal. Slice Boogie is brawling with Colby Carino. The match is just thrown out. What'd you think of this one?
It's just a no contest. At the end of the day, the ref has lost control, as they said in there. But I found it interesting. Like, I don't know, and maybe I could be wrong. It's interesting, this Colby Carino and JTG alliance, because have they explained like the reasoning for linking up yet?
Well, the tag team tournament kind of threw a whole bunch of teams together, and that includes Colby and JTG. Yeah. Without really going into like the finer details, they did a really good job of like moving on the Colby Carino and feud with PJ Hawks within that tournament. But they didn't really become a cohesive unit with JTG. They were very chummy, whenever they were doing interviews together, they're, rubbing shoulders, and like JTG's popping for Colby Carino's one-liners, but it is a bit of an odd fit. Do you find?
Yeah, I mean, especially because my last memory of Colby Carino was with the Fixers 2 weeks ago, I believe, when I was on here last. And to like hop around, I mean, Colby just seems to have a lot of alliances in his back pocket, though. So you can't blame the guy. Good on him, though, it seems.
Yeah, he's a very well-connected and, well, perhaps very well-liked,
Mhm.
as opposed to the heel that he is. But yeah, that is like kind of like one of the just like a byproduct of like throwing all these
Mhm.
matches together from
Yeah.
different timelines. Some of these are from before like Empower or the same set of tapings, and others are from well, just other events as well. But you know, that is kind of a side effect. My takeaway here is like these two should be way further up the card, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more when we get to the segment with involving Trevor Murdoch. But man, like these two are so good, and they've been very good to good on NWA programming for quite some time, particularly Slice Boogie and JTG. When he came in, he made a splash immediately. Would love to see them, like, you know, they should not be killing time in these dark matches.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they're like you said before, obviously the interference, it was actually a pretty solid matchup with a lot of back and forth action. I mean, they both had strong showings of offense and defense, but then of course we got the no contest ending. JTG went to attack Sal, and then Sal fell off the top rope, and then they both Colby and Sal came into the ring and started attacking both the opponents, and then the ref had no choice but to call a no contest, I assume it was, or maybe a double disqualification. I don't really know.
Yeah, I was thrown away, just like no contest,
Yeah.
no winner, no loser. I mean, like I guess the big shame about all this too is because it's an episode of Power Surge, and like these are very out of sequence. We don't necessarily know if there will be some sort of like fallout from this that really like I can't even trust that there's going to be a tag match with Carino's new alliance with the Fixers, but I don't know. I suppose we'll see. Dear Amazing, thanks so much for joining us once again. Great to always see you in the chat. We move on down the card. We get a match between Kenzie Page and Kiera Hogan. Both these women had amazing showings in recent weeks against, respectively, against Camille and Mickey James. Great matches, and this one was also pretty good in its own right, absolutely. Kiera Hogan remains in charge for the early stages of the match, taking to mocking to Kenzie. Kenzie's able to turn things around and play more to her powerful style, but she's not able to hold ground for too long. Kiera dodges a knee, and it follows it up with a roundhouse kick, followed up with a swinging fisherman suplex for the win. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, Kenzie definitely controlled a lot of the beginning portions of this matchup before she launched Kiera into the corner and then went to go, I guess, strike her. But obviously, Kiera moved out of the way. And so Kenzie went like face first into the turnbuckle. And really, from there, she wasn't really able to recover, and Kiera gained the momentum. So I think it's a cool, strong showing for Kiera. I think it's am I frozen?
I can still hear you, but your
Okay.
picture's frozen.
Sorry, guys. I think
No
it's
harm.
cool, especially that Kiera Hogan has had like more matches on NWA. Obviously, she had that match with Mickey James last month, and then she's really been in between NWA and AEW now. And so it's cool that she's been picking up and racking up those wins and those momentum in the last few weeks. So I think it was a solid matchup by both. Obviously, Kenzie controlled the early portion, and then Kiera really just dominated the latter half of the match. So I wish they had a little bit more time, but that's kind of a theme I kind of saw tonight with the women's matches, unfortunately. I mean, this one was obviously longer than the one later in the show, but I do wish that they were given a little bit more time, maybe. And again, I know they were not in front of an audience, so I don't know. I think this was obviously a dark match that was filmed that they were airing, so maybe that took away from that. But Kiera definitely got herself over, and like she said, and that on that period.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I have the same note about the time, like that the women just did not get a whole lot of time in this particular event, even though it is like, pardon me, even though it is a card or an episode that's kind of like Frankenstein from several different sets of tapings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you still want to see the women get more time than they were afforded, especially after watching a very lengthy match with Slice Boogie and JTG, which was great. But, you know, at the same time, it was thrown out with a no contest at the very end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So did it really need that much time compared to like a solid match between Kenzie Page and Kiera Hogan? I don't think so. Yeah, and the note I had about it, them working with no audience. I am a big fan when someone can take the weakness of a presentation and make it a strength, and that's exactly what Kiera Hogan did with like the no audience when she started chanting for Kenzie Page herself while she was kicking her in the corner, and it was like the only thing you could hear aside from the blows, the kicks in the corner. I was like, that was marvelous. That was great work by Kiera Hogan right there.
Definitely. And she kind of taunted Kenzie in the end and was obviously the victor in that and kind of rubbed in her face. So it's cool though that you actually can hear like the taunting and like the trash talk though in the ring. That's definitely something we don't get to hear obviously a lot of with the crowd noise really honing in most of the time.
Yeah, that's something I gave WWE a lot of credit for at the very beginning of the pandemic when there was no audiences. They didn't even have so much as the Thunderdome. Like the Roman Reigns matches, really just getting into the character work and giving them a little time for dialogue. That's what I like to see. If they're going to be presenting these dark matches in empty arenas, I have time for that. But let's use that to their advantage, Lawrence, thanks so much for popping in. Another member of the Love Wrestling crew. Always great to have you all joining us tonight on the Love Wrestling double feature. Once again, we got a few people showing up and watching right now. So I just want to remind everyone that once Power Out is done, you won't have to leave the stream. You can just stay right here and you'll be able to enjoy NXT with Ed, Astrid, and Bubba Duke right after Power Out. With that, we move on to the second women's match of the night. We get Melina versus Sky Blue. Again, unlike previous matches, we got a crowd for this one. We got the story of the experienced veteran versus the upstart. Another match that could have been afforded a lot more time. Melina's victory is quickly attained, but it's also very well earned, tapping Sky Blue to the California Nightmare. Now, before we went on air, you have a bit of a note on why this match was so short, actually.
Yeah, so I mean, I was there live for it. Melina started bleeding like during the match. You can see it a little bit as the ref puts on his rubber gloves, and you can see it in her right arm that she started bleeding. So I don't know if it was the spot where Sky went for the code red and then sneaked beneath her and Melina went like head arm first into the ropes and the turnbuckle. I don't know if it was from there or what exactly it was from, but she started bleeding. So it looks like that they kind of finished the ending maybe. I mean, the ref put on his gloves for sanitation purposes, as he should, to protect the health. But definitely, I think overall it was like 3 minutes. Like I literally have a video of the whole match on my phone from, I think it was about 3 minutes only. This was a match that I was super like when they announced it, when they came out, I was like, two of my favorites, like a veteran Melina, the living legend versus like one of the most, I think, highly popular girls on the indies right now, Sky Blue. She's been doing amazing. And so I was super, super excited for this. Obviously, it didn't live up to expectations, but again, that's likely due to the rushed finish there at the end. So who's to say what could have happened otherwise, but I'm sure it wasn't the planned finish.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, with a little luck, these two have more time to do another match down the road. Because again, it wasn't a lengthy contest for reasons of protecting the talent. A decision I completely respect, but this felt like a teaser to what could have been a really good match. And I'm glad you brought up that code red counter, because like it wasn't flashy, but it was one of the best counters to code red I have ever seen. Yeah, Melina's just looking for it in the corner, and Sky Blue's like, no, I'm just going to sit down and smash your head on the buckle. Again, hopefully it was done safe. And even when things are done safe, things like injuries can happen. But that was a really cool spot, and I would hate to see it lost due to an injury. Really good match. Yeah.
I do like this. I do like the submission ending too. That was cool. It's called California Dream, right?
Yeah, I might have written it wrong in my notes, but I put California Nightmare.
It might be that. It might be that.
Some sort of sleepy state.
Yeah, but I liked that ending. I mean, she swept Sky off of her feet and got her down for the California Nightmare into the bridge, and then flipped the momentum. And so it looked really, really cool when they flipped the momentum and Sky was in that submission. I love my girl Sky, but that was actually a pretty cool, aggressive ending.
Yeah. I've seen Melina win with finishers before, but with submission finishers before.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I just don't have that in my memory that she like turns onto her back like at the STF into like on her back. It was just very theatrical, and it was a very pleasing move to watch. It looked brutal too.
Definitely too. It just felt a little abrupt though. Like I said, who's to say what could have happened otherwise? Maybe that was the planned finish all along. I just wish there was more build to it. Obviously, though, injuries happen though mid-match in the course of wrestling. Changes on the drop of a dime.
Absolutely. If anyone in NWA happens to be coming across this broadcast of Power Out, we want more Melina versus Sky Blue, and I doubt very much that we are alone in that. We move on to the next contest of the match of the card. Excuse me. We got Captain Yuma versus Black G's. We got Ego versus Heart in this one. Absolute disrespect by G's to Yuma throughout this one. You know what? A lot more back and forth than you actually really expected when you saw this match kind of lined up. Yuma gets more of a showing that you might expect based on previous showings as a bit of an enhancement talent. He looks great, but he makes the mistake of when he jumps off the top rope, he jams his knee. That allows Black G's to hit the brainbuster, followed by a frog splash. He goes for the count, but instead he pulls him off and he hits again, don't want to say his name, but the TV champion's finishing move, Heart Punch, to finish off Yuma. What'd you think of this one?
I was honestly more focused on, and I know you didn't maybe like the commentary per se, but I was more focused on that, honestly, like Austin Idol and Velvet Sky going back and forth, and then Austin's talking about like teaching like the dirty tricks of like raking the eyes and like doing the the heel tactics, and like Velvet's like, where is the respect? And I was honestly I know you kind of said they were oil and water on Twitter, but I actually I was entertained by it. And again, I'm not one who had really been following Black G's before this, and I think it was a statement though at the end when he did the frog splash and could have easily pinned Captain Yuma, but no, he picked him up and then gave the heart punch to the end to dramatize it even more, making a statement that he is dominant. So I did like the ending. Actually, he didn't have to take the easy win. He made a statement at the end.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I agree with the finish. I liked what was done. I think the finish itself could have come a whole lot earlier. We're talking about the women's matches not getting afforded more time. This is one that didn't need the time that it had to tell the story that it told. I'll admit, I probably didn't give Austin Idol and Velvet Sky a lot of patience tonight because the last week particular is what jarred me. This one was certainly tonight was a lot less. They were a lot less in conflict. They were in conflict certainly, but not to the point of distracting from the match, which I gave them a hard time about last week. So maybe I didn't give them the fair shake on this particular evening.
I thought it was I thought it was funny at times, though. It added that extra layer. But like you said, maybe this match didn't need to go as long as it did in order to tell the story. I mean, of Black G's basically dominating the match. And my thing froze again. I apologize, guys.
No, it's okay.
But yeah. It didn't, the overall thing was obviously to get G's over, and they did that. Just maybe didn't need to be as long, but who's to say? We're not the bookers.
Could not agree more. After the match, we get a segment. This is recorded after the By Any Means Necessary event that they recently filmed and aired over the past 2 weeks. We get a glimpse of events where Trevor Murdoch, this is after the show, he is welcoming fans into the ring, into the steel cage in which Crimson and Jack Stain had just done battle. He's inviting fans in to get a photo with the NWA champ. One such fan is Mike Knox, who comes in. He lays out Trevor Murdoch. He closes the cage. He's got the steel chair, and he's just taking it to town on Trevor Murdoch. The beating just continues until the cage is opened and Mike Knox takes off. I have some very strong opinions about this one. Ella, what did you think?
It's wild to see Mike Knox in NWA. He's just a guy. I grew up in WWE that wasn't, it was on ECW, but then really fell off for a while. I feel bad for Trevor Murdoch. Got beat on by a chair, and he's so over with the crowd. Obviously, as like their babyface champion, and I guess that's a way to dominate and make a statement. That's I don't know what else to say. What you obviously have strong feelings though.
I am very annoyed at this because like Mike Knox, I have no ill will towards the guy. I think he's like a fine talent, and like if NWA brought him in, I would have no problem. They're bringing him in out of nowhere to main event a pay-per-view. Like we're not talking like, you know, they're bringing in I don't know, a former intercontinental champion or someone who made significant waves. They're bringing in Mike Knox, who's like Impact in WWE. I don't know. He was in a Survivor Series match or two. Nothing really of merit. He comes in and is now in the World Championship picture almost right away. When, like we discussed, they have people like Slice Boogie and JTG who are just ready to go. I'm gonna like go on a bit of a side tangent here. I have a feeling that they're building this pay-per-view around the television championship match. So they're kind of having like a lower tier person for Trevor Murdoch to go, which is fine, but you have people in-house who could fill that role. Like if you want to save Pope versus Trevor Murdoch for an event down the road, then do Slice Boogie versus Trevor Murdoch, or do Chris Adonis versus Trevor Murdoch. You don't need to bring Mike Knox in. He is not going to do what you need him to do. And honestly, he's going to be met with the same ambivalence from the crowd that Jedias was met with when he debuted at NWA 73 in that Battle Royal. This is NWA making the same mistakes all over again, and it just irritates me.
Zach digresses.
I apologize. I've been thinking about this for a while. I knew that they have arranged this angle, and this is the first time they arranged it a few weeks back, and it was the first time we've seen it on TV. So I've been left to kind of stew in this idea that Mike Knox will be challenging for the NWA Championship for some time, and yeah.
I mean, at least it was a surprise, right? At least there was that, but
yeah, you know, I got time for surprises, but again, like, you know, just give me Jax Dane versus Trevor Murdoch. Give me someone in house. That's that's where I'm at on that one. We move on to the main event, though. We got the finals of the tag team tournament that we had previously discussed earlier on. We got Hawks Aerie versus The End. Hawks Aerie, they're trying to counter The End's power throughout this match with their own speed. You know, up until this match, both are generally like babyface teams, but The End is playing more of a heelish one in this particular match. Hot tag to his dad, and Luke fights off The End until he cannot, and The End hits the Doomsday device. I love their modified Doomsday device with the flying European uppercut off of the shoulders. Looks great, but they said that this is sending The End to the finals to face La Rebellion at Hard Times. What'd you think of this one?
I was there to see it live, so it was cool to see, cool to feed off of the crowd, and going against La Rebellion, I feel like I mean, obviously you have the bigger dudes. I really liked the finish at the end too with their tag team move there at the end. That was a cool modified move. I think it made them a little different, and you have two different teams now really going at it, two very different looks too. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to have like a legit team win this tournament. It would have been one thing if like a team was thrown together, like you said, like JTG and earlier we were talking about. But I mean, I think it's great that an actual established team is moving on to the pay-per-view.
Absolutely. Like The End, I would have been happy with either of these teams winning, because they're going to go face La Rebellion at Hard Times, which again, whoever it was going to be a great match.
Yeah.
Ed weighing in, La Rebellion are cool. Love watching them work together. I mean, like, they are theatric as F. They look amazing. And yeah. Oh no, this is news to me. Mike Knox has been made the new host of PowerrrOut with the co-host Ticket the Cat.
I guess you've been vetoed, Zach.
I have been vetoed. I mean, that seems to be Mike Knox's MO, coming in out of nowhere and taking a spot that's not his. But I digress. Again, I like the match, but like, I thought this one was way too short after like this being the finals of a tournament. But you know, again, it happened on Power Surge, so my expectations were somewhat low to begin with. But again, La Rebellion versus The End at Hard Times. That's a match that that's the first confirmed match that they've announced for the Hard Times pay-per-view that I'm excited for. I am excited for the idea of Melina versus Camille, but they haven't confirmed that, and I'm not putting my eggs in that basket for considering how.
Joe Galley did mention that. I'm pretty sure he said that they didn't say when, but I'm pretty sure they did say Melina was going to face Camille. I just don't think it was announced when or where.
Melina won absolutely. She won a #1 contenders match. I think I want to say she beat Kylie Ray and Allison Kay, but that might have been a different match. All that to say, like, Melina versus Camille is a match I am very much looking forward to.
Me too, and it's in the December pay-per-view. Is that what you're talking about, Don? About Camille and Melina, or maybe La Rebellion? Yes. Okay, about Camille and Melina. Got it.
It is very possible I missed that particular note. So Don, thank you very much for confirming the suspicions. It's starting to become a pretty solid card between the tag team title match and the women's title match. That's more than enough reason to have interest in the pay-per-view. Actually, you know what? Don's saying that TBT talked about it, so I think Bubba Duke will have some things to say before they transition into the talk about NXT, which is going to happen after we end this broadcast of Power Out. Ella, once again, thank you so much for being part of the show. As always, please let the audience know where to follow you and your content.
Like it's displayed lovely here. You can follow me on Twitter at It's Ella J. And if you go to the link in my bio, my link tree, it has all my links to my project and my podcast and a lot of things I'm doing. And you can also listen to a Wrestling Gal podcast on all your major podcasting platforms.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ella. You can follow myself on Twitter at SmarkMouth and on Instagram at Smark.mouth. You can follow my own flagship show, the Smark and Friends podcast on Twitter. And with that, we're going to sign off on Power Out, and we have a special clip to share with you. This is from the upcoming Spencer Love interviews with former NWA television champion Zicky Dice. And right after that, you're going to be joined by the NXT crew. Thanks so much for tuning in to Power Out. We're going to see you next week.
I want to transition a little bit because we do have a couple of fan questions, and I always want to make sure I do right by the fans when they're sending stuff in. This one's from Zach Ralph. He says, before the NWA went on the hiatus, was there any concrete creative plans for your reign as television champion? Because you've talked again about the Crockett Cup stuff and maybe plans with Ricky Starks, but never really anything specifically on the TV title end.
No, that's all I really knew. I know that Ricky and I were supposed to win a few matches in the Crockett Cup or win the Battle Royal and end up teaming up together, even though we hated each other. And I was really looking forward to that. So I'm sure it would have led into some stuff with Ricky, a few title defenses here. And hell, if I was still there, I'm sure I'd still have the title to this day.
Well, hello and welcome to NXT, where we spill the tea on NXT. You have me, Ed Fries. I'm joined by Astrid over here. And Turnbuckle Talks Bubba Duke. Welcome to NXT.
Hey, thanks for having me. I thought I'd jump in here and give my unwanted 2 American cents on the NXT product.
And we have Dar Amazing saying, and now NXT. Yes. Thank you for joining us, Dara. Hopefully you enjoyed Power Out. Bubba Duke, so tell us a little bit about Turnbuckle Talk. For those of us who haven't been able to catch it, tell us what you and Carl are up to on Turnbuckle Talk.
Oh, my goodness. What are we not up to? About the pay-per-views that were just happening and the ones that are coming up. And as I see somebody named Don Lewis there named Turnbuckle Talk, we're talking about the December pay-per-view.
Yes.
So that gentleman is correct. We are talking about the December pay-per-view for, can't remember who it was now, NWA.
Yes, the December pay-per-view for
yes, with the
hard times, baby.
Hard so far. Looking pretty good. But yeah, we talk wrestling, anything and everything to do with wrestling. You name it, we've done it. We talk about it, or we have it.
Lawrence coming in saying that he's never been awake to see this show. Well, welcome, Lawrence. I appreciate you staying awake long enough to hear us talk about NXT. And apparently Astrid's banned Lawrence from NXT. I don't know. Me and Cody would have to have a chat about that one at some point. Astrid, you're muted. Astrid, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Okay, I was saying that's news to me, but okay.
But speaking of NXT, NXT was a slow episode tonight. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was just here. And then the main event happened. And we'll get to the main event in just a moment because, as we always do, we talk about the things that we liked, and then we go into the rest of the show. Because I think it's a much better product to talk about the good things that are happening, especially on Love Wrestling. Let's talk about the things that we like. Let's talk about the things that we love. And then we can kind of nitpick along the way with everything else that goes on, which is fine because every product has room to improve, including NXT 2.0. And we're going to let Bubba Duke speak first. So, Bubba Duke, what did you find that stood out to you most in this episode of NXT?
The one thing that really stood out for me was the end match. It was the women's match. I like both these women. They are very good wrestlers. I think they need to be in the main card. But yeah, no, it was like watching a fireworks show going, and then you got to that final match, and it was like the grand finale. Mm-hmm. Everyone and anyone that could have been involved in this match was there at the end. And again, I said it on Turnbuckle Talk earlier today. Female professional wrestling is really, in my book, starting to take off. And if WWE rides this wave the way they should, it's going to make their wrestling product a lot better.
And I want to say that they really did a good job with focusing on a couple of different women's segments tonight. You had Indy Hartwell a couple of times in the show with the Dexter Lumis stuff, which is good. It's still putting her on a pedestal. It's introducing her to us. Is she in the ring wrestling? No, but she doesn't need to be. At least she's on television as a female performer getting time. And she's part of one of the biggest acts of NXT for the last 6 months with Index. I mean, Index has been huge the last 6 months. So Indy being a crucial part of this show is a good thing. As Astrid is our Index expert. She absolutely adores Index. So we always refer to Astrid with that. We had Persia with her match, where it was supposed to be a tag team match. It turned into a single handicap match where she got a spotlight. Good for her. It continues to introduce us to Persia. It continues to introduce us to women's wrestling. Was it a long segment? No, but it got the point across and it made Persia look good. And again, it's about making your female talent look good. And she did. And then you get a nice 10-minute main event, probably a little less with the run-ins and everything else. But the match, got ready to get started around quarter of, and NXT went off the air right about 10 o'clock. So you got a nice 15-minute segment here. And while the match didn't have its typical, concrete finish, it's leading us to a really, really fun spot. And I think I'm going to let Astrid talk about this for a little bit, and then we'll go back to Bubba Duke. War Games. Yeah. We didn't get William Regal saying it. We didn't get William Regal. But I think Io Shirai might just be as good.
Yeah.
So tell us, Astrid, what do you think about this War Games match?
Yeah. First, I want to shout out Choco Gaming because he's always supported me. So thank you for watching. Thank you for coming on. I honestly, like you guys said, I was like from the beginning having high hopes for NXT tonight. And then especially with obviously having War Games so soon. But yeah, it was okay until we got to the main event, which is the part that I stood out to me the most, setting up that War Games match for us. I loved it from beginning to end. I love the chemistry between Raquel and Dakota. I can't deny that. I love them wrestling. If I could have them wrestling forever, I would. I love them both a lot. But yeah, having all the girls involved, Toxic Attraction, Cora walking in there, Zoe, and then Io. Like you said, I did miss William saying it, but Io's a close second. I will say that. But yeah, I really loved it. And I'm glad I set up that Warren's game because I feel like we've been kind of trying to guess around who will be involved in it. So it's nice to see that setup starting. But it made me wonder if they're going to have Zoe part of it because she came out, but obviously she wasn't part of the attack part of it. She was just there at the entrance ramp, and that's where she stayed. Yeah, but other than that, having all the girls involved, that was definitely like my favorite part of the night. The ladies, for sure.
And Bubba Duke, what do you think about the female War Games match that's setting up?
Tonight was actually my first exposure to it because, like I said, I'm not really an NXT guy since WWE really took it over and made it the 2.0. But watching this episode and how they're leading into the War Games for someone like me that hasn't watched, it really stood out to me how they were getting that storyline across. To say, listen, all these women you're seeing right now are going to be in a ring fighting to. Well, I can't wait. I actually can't wait to watch War Games now. Just for that alone.
Yeah, and I like how they've done this very intricately, where we talk about how NXT 2.0 has been really good about ships passing in the night, segments kind of running into each other, and it's not its own little back world universe. And there was a couple of instances to that tonight, and we'll bring it up as we go along. But this match is made up of like 3 different feuds, all kind of fused together, and I love that. You have Mandy Rose and Io Shirai for like the title level feud, but you still got Toxic Attraction dealing with Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. And then you've got Dakota Kai, Cora Jade, and Raquel Gonzalez in their little 3-way feud. And you've put 3 feuds together, and it doesn't feel like it's all just thrown together. It feels like they all kind of mismatched together perfectly, because with one promo, you set this up with Mandy Rose coming in at the end of the Dakota Kai promo and saying, you had my back before, I'm here for you. And Dakota's like, no, you owe me 2. And I'm like, there we go. One promo, and it gives you your heel team and why they would want to work together. Why does Dakota Kai want to work with Toxic Attraction? Boom, here's your thing. Why does everybody else want to work together? Well, they're kind of fitting them in, but it works.
Very true. It wasn't that let's just throw them in a ring and not have a story. There was, like you said, it kind of like that gear. It all started meshing together.
Yep.
By the end of tonight. So now we know what's going on and why it's happening.
And Showco Gaming, feels like NXT has done a great job showing the importance of the women's division after the change to 2.0. They really have. With NXT, it's always great because they always have a deep women's division. I mean, think about it. We just lost so much talent from the NXT women's division. I mean, like just depth talent, whether it be, Zeta Ramir and Jessie Kamea aren't top tier talent. Catalina wasn't top tier talent, but they were released. But then you talk about you lose Frankie Monet. B-Fab goes up to the main roster with Hit Row and then gets released. Like, that's some top tier talent. Ember Moon got released. It's silly and it's dumb that you're doing it. But think about this. They've lost all of that talent, and they're still deep enough to do an 8-person women's War Games. And you still have Indian Persia and Casey Squared on the sidelines. Not to mention Kaylee Ray, who's not even been mentioned in this match, but was mentioned tonight.
Yeah, we have Candace pregnant, so she's going to be out for a little bit too.
Yeah, so Candace is out for a little while she's pregnant. But like that's the greatness of NXT, is that they're able to showcase all of this women's division and still not feel like they're shoving it down our throats or being forced to put the women on television. They're like, no, we want our women on TV. Hell, we're going to give them the main event spot. Which I thought was really nice. And they do that constantly. Dara Amazing says it, and we're going to get to Elektra Lopez in just a minute, because both Bubba Duke and Astrid really loved the main event segment. Without talking about the main event segment, I'm going to go to Zion Quinn versus Andre Chase, because I love me some Andre Chase. That dude, he reminds me, I said it last week and I'll say it again, he reminds me of Heath Slater. He's the kind of guy who can go in the ring and get the job done, and he's kind of a comical gimmick. But at the end of the day, he doesn't need the wins. All he needs is television time to get his character over. And 2.0 has been great about making sure to get characters over. And I think Andre Chase has done a really good job of that, about feeling like a big deal without having to win a match. He can continuously lose, and you still want to see him go in the ring to see what he's going to do to elevate whoever he's in the ring with. We have our friend Alex Ecto Guy 87 in there. KC Square just had a tag spot on Main Event. Yeah, I mean they had, I think Indy was on 205 Live if I don't remember, and they had a bunch of people doing dark matches for SmackDown last week. They had a couple people up there doing dark matches, so always fun. And yes, Dara, did somebody say Andre Chase? But no, Zion Quinn is getting a really, really good push here with the Legado del Fantasma stuff, and I love that. You know, he has a decent match with, you know, they got a decent amount of time, more time than I thought it was going to get. I didn't see Andre Chase getting a decent beatdown spot on Zion Quinn, but it was good, and it made sense. And then Zion gets out of it, hits a couple big moves because he's the big power guy, gets the win. Cool. Expected. Like it. Does what it needs to do. Then Legado comes out and attacks him. And you're like, all right, makes sense. He turned down Legado last week. They're still mad. They're going to come out and get theirs. They get him to the outside. He's starting to get the upper hand. Boom. Now you get the return of Santos Escobar, who's been gone since the North American title match 3 or 5 weeks ago. Really nice to see him back out of the clear blue. He comes back. He gets the upper hand. He lets La Madrina get in there and get her words on Zion Quinn, telling her that nobody tells Legado no. And then Santos gets him by the face and throws him down, and Quinn takes a really good backdrop onto that raised ramp. Looked really, really rough. I hope he's okay, because it looked rough. We're going to start with Astrid, and then we'll go to Bubba Duke. What did you guys think about this segment?
Yeah, like you said, it served its purpose. You know, it gave us Zion Quinn as a powerhouse, and it gave us Andre his selling and giving us a little bit more of his character, and his section gets a little bit bigger each week, it seems like to me. I don't know. Every time I see him, like I see more red shirts on that side, but yeah, just like every time I see people say Johnny Gargano, and it's just like I can't. The way he sells and his wrestling that just reminds me of Johnny a lot. But I love seeing him on TV, so it's just nice to see him, even if it's just like a match. Even though he's gonna lose, I like because I get to see him. So it was important to me anyway. But yeah, having Legado come in, it was something that was expected. I did like having Escobar coming from behind and just saying, surprise, I'm back. And Elektra just having that part of it, like looking at him before she leaves, it just like, I loved it from beginning to end. Thank you very much.
She's excited about it. You could tell just the big smile on her face.
Yeah.
She's all giddy, like, woohoo. I enjoyed the segment myself. I mean, it wasn't memorable, but yes, you are correct. That bump he took sounded really bad. I'll tell you right now, it wasn't that bad because it was raised. And all it was steel hitting steel. The harder bump he took was when he got hit from behind. If you watch that in slow motion, his face hit the ground.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, that one hurt. But again, when you're getting hit from behind, you really don't know what's coming till you're taking it. So good for him for not acting too hurt.
Yeah.
But no, the wrestling in this match was actually spot on. The guys did their thing. It wasn't boring, but it wasn't, I would say, not memorable.
Yeah, it was nothing special. It was a good quality television match.
But it got the point across to get to that next step, which is probably going to be another big match between all these people involved, which is good. It's what you need. You need to continue a story, not just throw matches out there for no reason.
And I like how NXT 2.0 has been very story driven. Like, yeah, we'll throw out matches left, right, and center, but they're always trying to tell a few different stories throughout the night. And you get those stories because they don't, it's not one and done stories. There's a couple segments throughout the night sometimes that get them. I mean, Zion Quinn doing this goes back, to Halloween Havoc, where he puts Robert Stone through the table with the choke slam, which leads to him and Robert Stone having the dance-off, sing-along, dance-off thing that turned into... Okay, so you missed this. This was big on the internet, but we really loved it. So basically, Robert Stone decided that he wanted to call out Zion Quinn. So Zion Quinn comes out, and Robert Stone says, first we're going to sing, and then we're going to fight, because it's Robert Stone and he's an idiot. So Robert Stone does a really bad job of doing Taya Valkyrie's theme. I say Taya Valkyrie. It was Frankie Monet's theme before she was released, so it's not so bad. It was the week before, which is, now that I noticed, it was bad luck on her part for that. But he butchers it. He absolutely butchers it. And then Zion Quinn, who's like, I don't want to sing. Robert Stone talks him into it with the Marty McFly. Oh, so you're a chicken, huh? And he's like, fine, I'll do it. He's like, just play me some music. And Shawn Michaels' music starts playing. So he starts singing Sexy Boy. And he's got a really decent voice, and he's not half bad. And it sounds like he's practiced this before. But Robert Stone is so irritated that he's half decent that he tries to attack him throughout the portions where he's singing. And he's incorporating Robert Stone's attacks into dance moves. So like at one point, he grabs him, spins him, and dips him. And at one point, then Robert Stone comes up to try to run up to him, and he does the lift from Dirty Dancing with Robert Stone. It's really cute. And then he proceeds to absolutely beat down Robert Stone in like a minute and a half with just like 4 big, huge power moves, and pins Robert Stone. Because Robert Stone then says, well, screw it. If I can't attack you, I'm just going to hit you. And he walks up to him and just slaps him across the face. And Zion's like, okay, fun's over. Now you're getting destroyed. And he did. And everybody was like, oh, why are you destroying Zion Quinn? Why does he have to dance? And I'm like, because it was great. As he goes backstage afterwards, Elektra Lopez and Legado del Fantasma are coming to the ring. And she sees him and she's like, hey, I noticed you out there. That was really interesting. I like seeing a different side of you. She's like, I'll be keeping an eye on you. And he's like, okay, cool. And he walks away. So they have that little, moment. Last week, she called them out and she was like, join Legado del Fantasma. We want you to be a part of our family. I like you. Let's make this, something. And he's like, I like you a lot, but I'm not joining Legado. And then she let Legado attack him. He fended them off. And then she goes to slap him and he grabs her hand and he spins her into a lock, and he's just looking down at her with her on his shoulder. And she's got the butterflies, and you can see it in her eyes that she's got that moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like all they were missing was the kiss. Like they were setting up for the kiss, and they're like, nope, we're going to tease you with it. And so that leads to tonight with Legado getting angry at him and attacking him. And then her going, you don't tell Legado no. And that escalating to bringing in Santos. So it's been like a 4-week story told since Halloween Havoc, where they started with Robert Stone to get to Legado because ships passing in the night.
There we go.
And so he says, oh, so is Zion and LDF are feuding? Yep, that's exactly how it happened. It's really weird, and it's a long story, but that's how it started.
The segment was incredible.
Yeah.
And they did an amazing job pulling it off and making, again, that bump. Even I was like, oh. Mm-hmm. And I've taken a few bumps that are pretty sketchy in my little wrestling career that I had. Even that one made me cringe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now that we've talked about a couple of things that we like, we're going to go through the show from the top and just kind of go over some of the stuff that happened. But before we do that, I don't know if PowerrrOut did it, so I want to make sure that we do it. And that's to shout out our sponsors at RK Athletics. RK Athletics make all the wonderful shows that love wrestling possible. So follow Rich King, also fellow Canadian wrestler Rich King. There's all kinds of great work. Follow him at RK Athletics 1 on Twitter and Instagram. They do great things. Follow them for that and to find out if you can get some personal training if you're in the Edmonton, Alberta, Canada in person, or you can go ahead and get some personal training online. They do that as well during the pandemic right now, so hopefully they're still doing that. But definitely give them a follow and check them out. Rich is a great guy, and he makes all of the wonderful Love Wrestling products able to happen. So to start the show, we get Dexter Lumis versus Tony D'Angelo. And Tony D'Angelo is one of the things that I will continue every week to apologize that I didn't think it was going to work, because, man, it's working. Last week, we had Tony D'Angelo delivering Indy Hartwell a fish to explain that, yeah, he gave her a big fish to do the explanation that Loomis was going to go sleeping with the fishes. So Loomis, to one-up him, Loomis then, when he's doing his entrance tonight, has his easel nearby, and he lifts up the cover, and is a picture of Tony D'Angelo in caricature form actually sleeping on a bed underwater with the fishes. Great job, Dexter. Great job, NXT. I love that they keep this going with this art thing with Dexter Loomis, because he doesn't like to talk.
If it works, why not do it? It's getting over. That's the incredible part. This is getting over.
And Dexter's a great artist. So if he's going to be a great artist and he wants to incorporate it into his character, especially for somebody who doesn't speak, you can let the artwork speak for yourself. You save a whole promo of Dexter talking by literally putting a picture of Tony sleeping with the fishes.
Stuff.
We have a quick match that Tony wins with his swinging neckbreaker finish. It kind of came out of the blue. I was a little surprised. I wasn't expecting this to be a 5-minute match, but this is the kind of thing that we've learned to come to expect from NXT 2.0. A bunch of little matches mixed in with some of the bigger matches, getting 10 to 20 minutes at a time. So I'm not super opposed to it, but like Cody says, it feels a little bit like Dark sometimes, where you have those bunch of little matches that only take 5-10 minutes at a time. Bubba Duke, what did you think of this match and the post-match with Trick Mello?
Again, it was a good match to open the show with. It set the tone for me that it wasn't going to be the huge show that I was expecting, but it was a good show for the most part. It just, like I said, it set that tone. The guys hit their spots, and like the finisher, I was not expecting that. That was really cool, just out of nowhere. So I enjoyed the match. It hit the spot.
Astrid, your thoughts?
Yeah, I started tuning in a little bit later, and then by the time I tuned in, no lie, it was about 8:06, and it's like when he was hitting up the finisher move and finishing the match, and I'm like, how is that happening? I had no idea it was that quick. So yeah, it just reminded me what we've been saying. It's just like it's been quick matches in NXT as it recently, but it did the trick obviously. And then we have Trick Mello coming in, and then Gargano and Pete, and setting up that North American Championship match for next week. So just like it was quick, but it gave us a storytelling, and it kept going with the story that we've been having. And I mean, I don't mind having Carmelo come in because he's been getting a spotlight lately, and Gargano, his responses, and Pete, that whole promo segment and between all three of them, it's probably my favorite part of like the beginning of the show.
Yeah, and so after the match, Loomis is won the match. Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes come out, and as we like to affectionately call them here, Trick Mello. Trick Mello goes ahead and attacks Dexter Loomis, and we've made Bubba Duke. He's like, no, what did I do? Why am I here? Trick Mello goes ahead and smashes Dexter's drawing hand and his thumbs up hand in the chair. And I'm like, great. Nice little story development. It goes ahead and it makes Johnny want to fight Carmelo even more, but it writes out Dexter Loomis so you can kind of understand where he goes away for a couple of weeks. We'll probably push Indy a little more in these next couple of weeks. Nice little give and take. And then we get the Gargano promo, and I have written in my notes, God, I love how the Way made him a great heel, and now they've turned him babyface by continuing to use the Way by adding Dexter Loomis and Index, and he switched from heel to babyface, and he's done nothing differently, other than
see how easy it is, though, right?
Isn't it great when you have such a great wrestler that you can just flip the switch like that?
I know of a few guys that over the years that you could do that with. You could back and forth, and everybody would just be like, "Cool, he's a heel, he's a bad guy right now." Oh, tomorrow, we're a babyface now. It is good for NXT to have characters like that on their roster. And Gargano has always been like that. He's like clay. You want him to look like a ball today, he's going to look like a ball today. You want a square tomorrow, you're going to have the square tomorrow. The dude will do what it takes to make the company look good, and you want to keep guys like that.
I want to bring this up. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to bring this up. I showed it, but I want to make sure I double mention it. Choke Goat Gaming talks about it. Loved the way that commentary explained how the hand injury was more than just a limb hurting. It's his way of talking being gone. And with Dexter Lumis, it's so vital that you bring that up, that it's his drawing hand. It's the hand he uses to express himself. And NXT gets it. And Wade Barrett is fantastic on commentary, and Beth Phoenix is too. And Phillips right in the middle of the two of them just works. I'm sorry, Vic Joseph. I'm sorry, not Tom Phillips. Vic Joseph. In the middle of them. He just works because he can goad Wade just the way he needs to, but he makes sure that he tempers off Beth by not just being another Beth Phoenix. He lets her be the face commentator and kind of just takes that middle ground with a really good way. Gargano cuts his promo calling out Carmelo Hayes, but then Dunn comes out and says, no, I get Mello, and he talks about how he beat Mello last week and how that means that he should get him. Trick Mello then come out on the Nest, and I was like, nice. I was happy to see that the Eagles Nest still exists in the new NXT, because I thought we were going to lose that when we left Full Sail. I call it the Eagles Nest. It's the raised platform that they cut the promo on.
Listen, that's what it's going to be called from now on. It was here, NXT. You called it, bro.
Yeah.
The Eagles Nest.
I like the Eagles. It's just like this raised platform that you can kind of like cut a really cool angle. Like you can.
Oh, it was epic. I thought it was really cool. I'm like, whoa, where'd this come from? I've never seen this before, because I didn't catch that before when I was watching NXT. I never caught the little Eagles Nest up there.
Yeah.
But for me, it gave that extra dynamic to this whole promo of setting up now this 3-way match. It is.
Yep.
Yeah, my brain just went. But yeah, no, it's set up perfectly, because now you got your guys up here, you got your guy in the ring, and you got your guy on the ramp. I don't even know if it was a real ramp, but the walkway, and it just worked.
It spaces everybody out, so not everybody's standing in the ring,
and they're not on top of each other, because when they get that close, you're expect, okay, now something's going to blow up, and now they're going to start throwing hands, and who cares? No, this was perfect. You had them, the champions, the guy trying to make the challenge, and then the guy saying, no, hold on a minute, this is my time, not yours. And then the champs just go, you know what, forget it. Both of you come at me because I'm that good.
Because when Mello shoots, he don't miss.
Right. And it's hard to say good things about WWE lately, but this episode of NXT for me kind of gives me that hope that they might be able to be great again.
The thing I like about NXT 2.0 is, if you want to say, like everybody was saying, the doom saying when they heard Vince and Co. were going to come and take over. And we all heard, oh, NXT is dead. NXT is gone. And we heard that they were switching to NXT 2.0. And we're all like, is our NXT really going to go? They've managed to bring in the WWE style of production and like similar things that you will see on Raw and SmackDown that might drive you crazy. But they continue to tell these wonderful, intricate stories. And they do it in a different way. And it just gives you that benefit of the doubt. That no matter what happens, it's like, yeah, Vince and Co. might have their hands in this pie, but Triple H still knows how to put on a good television program that us diehards want to see.
Well, and it helps that standing right here behind Triple H is HBK.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. Those two guys together know how to put product on.
Yeah.
Just let them do it.
And you've got people, beside them, and then you got like Road Dogg, and you have Steve Corino. Who, PowerrrOut was talking about Kobe Corino, the son of Steve Corino, but you've got Steve Corino back there, and you've still got people like Matt Bloom helping out backstage, and you have these wonderful William Regal. out there helping to cultivate young talent and find you the best of the best of some of these young talent that you're going to mold, because 2.0 is all about molding our own talent and not taking from the world. You know, NXT did such a great job of taking from the indies and bringing them in and making them feel special. And 2.0 has done a really good job of making it about molding brand new young talent.
Good for
And
them.
we've said how LA Knight has been the lead of that, where LA Knight seems to be in the ring with all of the young talent. And if you go back and look at 2.0 from the beginning, it's like on the first night of 2.0, LA Knight has 2 matches, but who are in those matches? Von Wagner and Braun Breaker. And you keep looking, and he's wrestled Odyssey Jones, and he's wrestled Grayson Waller, and he's in a program with Grayson Waller, and he's been in the ring with Joe Gacy, and he's bringing in a ring with Carmelo Hayes. And it's all of these guys that LA Knight has this little brush with just to show and give them that next level. Braun Breaker immediately going into a program with Tommaso Ciampa. Joe Gacy working with, right now, Diamond Mine on tonight's show. I mean, it's a constant flow of using these bigger stars to help give these younger people a place to be.
Just that little push.
Yeah. That little nudge just to be like, look, they're going to be okay. Love these people. We want you to love these people. You're putting Carmelo Hayes in a match with Johnny Gargano and Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne and Johnny Gargano could be a statement match on its own. And you're putting him in with Carmelo Hayes as the A champion to give him that credibility, so that no matter how this match ends, if he pins Pete Dunne, if he pins Gargano, if he doesn't lose and Gargano pins Pete Dunne or vice versa, you can still make him look like a star and not hurt him. And you can even take that title off of him.
Exactly.
We've got 2 things. Oh, yeah. LA Knight was in the ring with Solo Sikoa last week. I mean, I was missing him tonight. I really did miss Solo Sikoa tonight. The third Uso is always fun to see. Before we get to Choke Goat Gaming, we're going to talk to Dara Amazing, who says, before you guys continue, did you hear that NXT 2.0 might be TV 14? Yes. WrestleVotes had a story today that said that upon the inception of 2.0, WWE's wanted to be more adult with their content, and they wanted to bring it up a notch, and that they might go from TV PG to TV 14, and that NXT might be the first to do this to get it going, and their thing was that USA is on the same page. USA is like, okay, cool, we can do that. My response to I posted it to Astrid and Cody because we're the NXT team, and I posted that exact tweet, and I go, wait, that hasn't started yet? Because you have Toxic Attraction, I feel like, is the beginning of that. You have Toxic Attraction walking around, and you have Gigi Dolan with that rose, and she's running that rose down men's chests, where she got Carmelo Hayes all excited on 1 week. And then 2 weeks ago, after Halloween Havoc with all the titles, you had them in an Imperium in a wonderful backstage promo with Imperium where they're talking in German and Italian, and Gigi Dolan and them walk up, and Gigi's like, slides the rose down Marcel Bartel's chest, and he's like, the ring may be sacred, but America has its advantages. And I'm just like, I love it. Like, the idea that we could see Walter come to NXT and yell at Marcel Bartel for becoming too American and not taking things seriously because he's interested in Gigi Dolan could be a wonderful storyline.
It will definitely open some avenues for different storylines instead of trying to be that PG, why, dude, let's get back to wrestling and having very good matches and telling really good stories. And if telling stories means you got to be a little edgy with it, then let's do what we got to do to make things fun.
Yeah. Astrid, your thoughts? I feel like I've talked forever.
No, I just remember back, around the time that NXT 2.0 started, we saw that article from Fightful saying that they would turn to TV 14. So I figured, basically with NXT 2.0, that's how it would start. And we kind of see them already, kind of cursing out a little bit here and there. And obviously that parts with Toxic Attraction, for example. So just like it's something that I feel like it was already in place, and then see that tweet today, just like you said, it's like, wait, this hasn't started yet. I feel like we've been saying it for weeks now, and just like now they're saying it. That part is the one that felt kind of weird with the timing. But yeah, I remember seeing the article from Fightful since NXT 2.0 started to begin with. So I'm not surprised with the way it's been so far. And I figured they will probably continue on with it because I'm like, nobody has really complained about it much, to be honest, which is surprising. So
yeah, we have Choco Gaming in here talking about what we were talking about earlier. 2.0 feels like they're building from the ground up, not having to have the names from outside the WWE world with expectations on them. No, they're signing a lot more names that might be like personal to your local indie as opposed to the greater indie world as a whole. You know, we're not signing Keith Lee, but we're going to sign Carmelo Hayes. Whereas I know him because he's been in the Northeast for the last, 5-7 years, putting on, clinics and killer matches. But Astrid and Bubba Duke might not have heard of Carmelo Hayes or Christian Casanova before he popped up here. So I like that they're building people from the ground up.
If you notice, that goes back to the promo that we have from Grayson Waller today on the lashing out and the Ciampa part. So.
I can't wait to get to those two. We will get to those soon enough. We had the promo for tonight's Poker Showdown. We had a Diamond Mine in the locker room where Bivens promo, and he talks about how, Roddy's leading the Diamond Mine and, they're a well-oiled machine and they're going to win the 6-man tag tonight. And then we have Joe Gacy, again, a guy who doesn't need to win every week, just needs to be on TV, putting on this gimmick of, the snowflakes and the ring is a safe space. And portraying that that I don't even know is it Gen Z? Is that the new generation or whatever it is? I don't know. Yeah. I'm too old for this. I'm a millennial. I'll admit to it.
Yeah, it's Gen Z.
Yeah, it's this new mentality of like, everything has to be safe and wanting a safe space. And as Astrid says, and Dara's correct, it is Gen Z. This whole Gen Z vibe. He comes in and he talks to Bivens and he says, I like that you're bringing a group where people are coming together for a common goal. I'm like, all right, cool. That works with your promo. I like that. To which Bivens responds to him and tells him, well, that's great. And if you want to be part of this group in Diamond Mine, that's fine. We're having tryouts in a couple weeks. And I wrote down the cost because it really caught me off guard because he gave an exact cost. A tryout will cost $837.50. No exchanges, no refunds, no matter what the credit card company tells you. To which he then hands Joe Gacy a business card and walks off with the rest of Diamond Mine. I love Malcolm Bivens. I really can't fault him. He's fantastic. I don't know if I'd want to spend $800 to try out for Diamond Mine. But I mean, if it gets me closer to Ivy Nile, sure, why not?
So what do they do with the money, though?
Oh, Malcolm Bivens pockets that. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you don't understand what's going on. If you're not following Malcolm on Twitter, Machiavelli is a really great follow. At one point during the pandemic, he was trying to get people to pay him money for random things that he doesn't do. When one of the female talent got released, he was mad that when Xia Li got called up, he was mad that Xia Li got called up because she owed him money for something. And now he's not going to see her anymore, so he's not going to get his money. Bivens is just great.
It's in the mail.
Yeah. We then get an LA Knight promo talking about how he hates Grayson Waller, which is great because it's continuing this wonderful feud of LA Knight working with this disrespectful, ungrateful rookie, which we'll talk more about as we go along. And then we get to Diamond Mine. And I'm going to let Astrid talk a little bit about Diamond Mine versus Odyssey Jones and Jekatai.
To be honest, I feel like the match wasn't what I expected it to be, in the sense that I was like, I don't know what will happen particularly here between these two groups, because I feel like they're so different. But to me, my favorite part was more than anything seeing Odyssey getting that spotlight and showing off his moves, because I'm like, I love seeing him on TV. I don't feel like we don't get him often in matches. I feel like he's only had a couple of them. So I like seeing him on TV and seeing him with Jacket Time. I really like the chemistry between them, though. I never expected that to happen, but I did like them together. The high flying was in the part with like the way that Roddy just like slams him towards the end. I was like, holy crap. I loved them. I was like, And I remember in the chat you said Roddy is strong, and I was like, yeah, pun intended, because he is strong. But yeah, just and having Odyssey just spin Roddy, that surprised me though at the end. But I liked it, and like it was one of those, like, it was kind of quick match, but like it's one of those, like we've been saying, it served the purpose that it had of continuing the storyline between Odyssey and Roddy as well.
And Bubba Duke.
I feel the same way. It was a perfectly placed match at the perfectly placed time. It wasn't long. It wasn't too short. It wasn't. They hit spots and told a very quick story. Yes, but to me, it seemed like this isn't the last time we're going to see this. So you didn't want this long, drawn out match. You didn't want it going for 15, 20 minutes. Like, get in, do your spots, tell your quick story, get out. It was perfect for me. It was dead on the nail. Like, they did it perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a really good match. The angle slam from Roddy is the moment of the match. Odyssey gave him a little hop on that one, but it's still a big man to turn over and flip and slam the way you need to make an angle slam look good. And Kurt would have been proud. Let's put it that way. Kurt would be proud when he sees Roddy's angle slam. I'm interested to see if there's going to be Joe Gacy joining with Diamond Mine for a men's War Games match. Mm-hmm. My question is, I can't remember who Joe Gacy is feuding with, but who would take that fourth spot on the other team, Astrid? Do you remember who Joe Gacy was feuding with last week?
No, I'm like my British friend at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember, but I could see Joe Gacy being part of a Diamond Mine 4-on-4 men's match, and then adding a fourth on the side of Jacket Time and Odyssey Jones. And if we get Odyssey Jones in a War Games, like you talk about how you like his high flying stuff, wait till we get that, because that would. Thank you. Yes, Boa. I know Boa's a heel, but you can throw him on there with Joe Gacy. It'll be fine. I mean, you have Cora Jade and Raquel Gonzalez on the same team, and eventually they're going to tear each other apart. So I think we're fine with that. Bringing people together to feud in a War Games match, it always works. It worked in WCW with bringing together random talent to fight a bad guys faction. It'll be sad when we don't see any member of Undisputed Era in a War Games match. It'll really be the turning of a phrase on that one to not see them involved. But yeah, so far, like I said, Bubba Duke said it perfectly. The matches have been great. The segments have been good, but it's all been just kind of ho-hum. Like, it's really good. I'm interested, but nothing is spectacular. Mm-hmm. And it continues with what I feel is a disservice to grizzled young veterans as they have the tag team titles. And Astrid in the chat had me because she was like, oh, they won the tag titles on NXT UK. And I'm like, oh, did they? Like, I didn't even realize that they were the white women's championships. To which Astrid responds, oh, no, never mind. And they bring it up that they have to bring them back to Toxic Attraction after conning their aunt because he wants the lion's share of the inheritance. I love grizzled young veterans. I don't see them as a comedy act. So, we're getting Bubba Duke back. Bubba, that one.
You thought those were the
I honestly didn't remember. I don't remember what the NXT UK tag team titles looked like. And I know they had a fatal 4-way for the NXT UK tag titles on the show last week. So I honestly, like, I was like, oh, they won the tag titles. Good for them. I literally said to the chat to Astrid, good for them. They deserve a title reign. Not even thinking that they're white because of the women's belts.
It's not even that they're white. These titles look this big on those guys. I was like, why do they have such small title? And then I'm like, why do they have the women's title belts?
No, it took me a second. It was so funny just to see them because I was like, wait, they won the tag team championships. That's so nice. And then I hear them saying, I was like, never mind. And I'm like, oh no, this is not what I expected it to be. And I'm like, I should have waited till the promo was done and then said something about it. But yeah, I just like, I don't watch NXT UK, so I honestly don't know what the tag team titles look like. And then I'm like, that's cool. And I was like, Ed, you should be happy. They said you're guys. And then we're like, never mind, I take it back. Sorry.
Just masking everybody.
Parrish jumping in the chat. Is it me or would a tag teams war games match feel forced this time around? I agree. A number one contenders match for the NXT title, as you brought up last week, would be a really cool idea. I still think it takes a bit to get there, and I think I still would need a little bit more explaining on getting there. As Parrish literally just sent me a picture of the UK tag team titles, and it's
Send that this week because I haven't even seen that yet.
okay. I will send that to you after the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very much different than the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. As he says, they are circle plated titles.
She's getting all embarrassed over here.
Astrid is our big star who is fantastic.
No. I'm leaving.
No.
So because I've done the same thing before. I've done it. Oh my god, yeah. And then they turn it around and it's the Divas title and some guy's holding
No,
it.
the worst part is that I was happy for Ed because Ed is the fan of them. I'm just like, sure, they're on TV. And he's the one that's fan of them. I was like, oh, cool, they have the tag team championships. And then I hear them, oh, we're going to take them back to Talking Attraction. I was like, they got me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and this, for anybody wondering, this is the NXT Tag Team Championships.
Okay, so that's pretty European-ish.
It's a very beautiful title.
I can completely see where you got them mixed up because, I mean, they're very, like, the shape of them is very similar. If you just take a quick look, yeah, I could understand how you'd mess that up.
Yeah. But I'm not down for Grizzled Young Veterans being a comedy act. This is getting me on board. This is better than last week when they were trying to con food out of random people on the street.
Oh my God.
But conning Nano was better. But so Bubba Duke, last week on NXT, you had Grizzled Young Veterans out, and they were trying to. James Drake was being taught by Zach Gibson, about how to distract people. So James Drake was pretending he hurt his ankle on the street so that people would stop, so that Zach Gibson could borrow their phone, so that Zach Gibson could use that phone to order Uber Eats, so that they could deliver them food on somebody else's dime. And then at the end of the promo, the whole point of it was, if you can distract people, you can distract a referee.
How's
Yeah.
next?
That's what we said. And as if having GYV here wasn't enough, and Choke Goat Gaming, a comedy team is definitely not what we need. And then Bubba Duke, you've been sent on your IG DMs from Chris Parrish a picture, the same picture I just showed of the. You said you wanted a picture of the NXT title.
Yeah.
So he sent it to you.
I'm like, what? I'm just getting around to all this like new technology stuff for like chatting and whatnot.
It's all good.
Because I'm like very Stone Age. Like we just got internet where I'm living here in the rednecks of Georgia here.
So then we did have the MSK travel, as I called it, the travel vlog from MSK. We're going to skip 90% of this because half of it was them trying to argue about who was going to take the weed bag across the security line. They said it was supplies for the shaman, but let's be honest, it was the weed bag because this is MSK. But anyways, they get to the end of this and they're at the baggage claim. I
told you it was the rental car section. Okay.
Oh, is that the rental car section?
Yeah, the first floor.
They had a baggage claim there I'm talking about at the end where the baggage claim little circle thingy was going around.
I think I missed it, but yeah, it's just like they went around. I don't know how they did that shot. I'm guessing they just took a shot from just a regular airplane, just like going down the aisle. Because I used to work at the airport, so I can tell you the part of the airport that is the Orlando airport. And then they weren't in the food, even though they said they passed security, They were actually in the main food court before TSA, so obviously they didn't even go past security. And then at the end, I could see the rental car in the background in the first floor where they were like, "Oh, we got separated. Like we're glad we're together." That was the first floor of the where the rental car section, because I've been there so many times. So I'm like, I can tell by the seats. This is still the airport in Orlando, so.
And Bubba Duke, we just want clarification. You are not a Falcons fan, yes?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
But anyways, we get to this. The thing I wanted to bring up about this, because otherwise it was a ho-hum blog. They said shaman, and then they said he's a pinnacle of tag team wrestling. And I put it together at the same time Astrid did, because when I sent her the name, and Bubba Duke, I'm going to ask you if you think this could be it. They're apparently looking for some kind of shaman to help them get on their way as a tag team again after losing the tag titles. Could this possibly be that they're going to go see John Morrison?
Ooh.
Shaman,
Oh.
tag team, John Morrison.
Oh. Because if you think back in his list of characters,
There
he
is one.
actually played a shaman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. I can't wait. I'm going to have to start watching this now.
If it's not Morrison, I'm gonna be so disappointed.
I will be too. I've gotten myself all hyped up for John Morrison, and it's not going to be.
It
And I'm
probably
going to be
not,
disappointed. But I'm just like, he's not doing anything on the main roster. Why not let him have? Because you don't even have to have him on anything. Like, it's literally just going to be a spot at his house. Like,
Well,
you
could have him in the backyard at the training center. Like, really, there's a little patch of grass right there. Have him sitting down and, him and on to whatever. And great, Morrison, we want the dude. That would be epic.
No, the last time he was on Raw, it was with Nikki and Rhea. He was like meditating, so that will make sense with like the weed part of it, sort of. So maybe
The weed part of it knows, because everybody knows the guy smokes copious amounts of weed.
so. But yeah, it was like not too long ago. So that's the last time I remember seeing him, that part on Raw, like meditating backstage with the girls.
Yeah, and Parrish brings up the what's going to ultimately happen is that there's just a new character named the Shaman that they're going to go see.
Which would be funny too.
It would be.
It would be hilarious.
But I just got myself all worked up. I'm like, oh my god, because like you're not even getting him in the ring. Like it's not like he has to come to NXT. It's a stupid video package. I'm like, it could totally be Morrison.
You could just have them passing each other in the hallway, even like anything, just to talk to him about. Listen, we need your great divine intervention. And who better to play that than John Morrison? Like
Honestly, if it was just MSK needing somebody to get them on their own page, I'd rather RVD. But if we're gonna keep going down the shaman route, it needs to be Morrison. Yeah,
it needs to be John.
Parrish brings up
seeing RVD come back would be epic, but I think he's done with wrestling, to be quite honest.
He says Brian Kendrick would be fun, but like I said, I think like Bubba Duke says, I think he's just done. And it would be Choke Goat Gaming is a good idea.
Yeah,
how weird would it be to have Morrison with Frankie just being let go? Honestly, Frankie is going to do so much outside of this that I think they can separate what John does in the company versus what Frankie's going to do. Like, is it bad that they let her go because she's older than they want her to be? Like, she literally said it, that she feels she got let go because she feels like that she's too old for what WWE's female talent that they want. If that's how they feel, they're wrong. And we know that with Mickie James. That being said, she is going to do so many great things on the independent circuit and going back to places like Impact or something else that there's so much room.
NWA.
She could go to the NWA. Yeah. And Taya's going to have so I don't think it's a huge deal because I think there's enough room that you can get around it without having it be a weird thing. It's not like with what they did with Chelsea Green when they released Matt Cardona and then they wanted to use his pool and they asked Chelsea to ask him instead for a shoot. Like, that's different. Like, all they want is John Morrison. If they only want Morrison for a thing, Morrison's enough of a businessman to be like, it's fine, whatever, we'll deal with it.
Yeah. Again, Morrison, I think, is pretty laid back when it comes to stuff. He's just having fun.
Yeah.
As long as he's going to have fun doing whatever you want him to do, I think he'll do it. Again, he needs to be the shaman. I don't care. He needs to be. That would be epic.
He also brings up, imagine if it's Riddle.
Oh, no. I thought about that too. No.
I was going to say RVD and Riddle. Until they brought up the word shaman, I was all in for like an RVD Riddle kind of thing where it's just all about weed. But once they brought in shaman, I got hooked on Morrison. But Riddle would be great too.
No. No. That kid's lucky that he's with Randy Orton right now because I would totally write him off.
Mm-hmm.
Kid's an idiot. Forgets his lines at WrestleMania. Who forgets their lines at WrestleMania?
He called Randy Wandy this week on Raw.
Oh, I heard it. I heard it.
Poor Matt.
I wanted to smack the kid. Randy should have.
So then we get Raquel doing an interview where she talks about having Raquel not being able to have a good night's sleep since the night before Halloween Havoc, where she got turned on by her friend Dakota Kai when Dakota Kai blasted her with the shovel to make her return to NXT. The last time we'd seen her before that was the night that Raquel beat her at TakeOver. Nice, quick, easy promo. Sells the match we're getting later on tonight.
Yeah, it was get in, get out.
Then we get the poker showdown. I was a little hesitant of this last week because we had the great promo segment. And it really was essentially a promo segment. And it was a really good promo segment. It was long for a promo segment, but the segment itself was pretty good. I wrote down his first hand thinking it was going to be more than one, and I wanted to keep track of the poker stuff. So Cameron Grimes has King 3 in spades, while Duke Hudson has a pair of fives. Yep. The flop comes down 5, Jack 10, all of hearts. So Duke Hudson now has a 3 of a kind. And Cameron keeps betting in because he's an idiot. And Duke's like, all right, cool. I'll raise you double whatever you bet. And Cameron calls every time, which is nice. The turn is a queen of spades, which I thought was a nice little portrayal for Shayna Baszler there. It was a nice little call out. So that was nice. And they continue betting, and Cameron bets. Duke raises him twice, whatever Cameron bets. And then Cameron calls. The river is a 7 of hearts. This is important because Duke at this point now has won the hand. All Duke has to do is not fold, and he's won the hand. Cameron Grimes goes all in, and Duke is scared of the flush because you're seeing 4 hearts, as you should be. Any poker player in the world will tell you somebody who goes all in with 4 hearts on the board obviously probably has the flush. So Duke is scared. Duke inevitably calls back to a hand that we didn't see in the backstage poker segment a couple weeks ago, where Cameron Grimes had a similar look on his face when he hit a flush. So he folds. As Cameron Grimes was asked, what cards do you have? What did you have? And Cameron Grimes' response was perfect. And he said, 2 cards. I had 2 cards.
That was great.
That was great. Astrid has more of the words written down. I'm going to go to her in a moment so that she can talk about some of the things that were said here. Yeah. But Duke gets so pissed off that Cameron won't tell him what he had that he literally steals the cards from the dealer and flips them over. And he's like, what heart did you have? To find out he had King 3 of spades. Yeah, to which Cameron is in hysterics because he's realized that he's all over Duke Hudson, all in his head. And Duke absolutely obliterates Cameron Grimes. He goes ahead and he puts him through the table after beating him up for a while. And I'm like, this has been a kind of a down portion of this segment. I didn't go over. I had hoped it would be better. I had my doubts, and my doubts were right. And then he goes and he pulls out the toolbox and he grabs the scissors and he starts cutting some of Cameron Grimes' hair. And I'm like, boom, there's the takeaway from the segment. There's what you do. He gives him a trim and it picks the segment up. Choco Gaming again, popping in, saying the poker segment was much better than expected. Even if I expected worse, it worked well in the crowd. It did. The crowd was
Yeah.
really into it, and it was because of the promo stuff. We're going to go to Astrid for some of the promo stuff because I know she wrote a lot of that down. And then we'll go to Bubba Duke to see what he thought.
Yeah, I really like how the crowd was so into it. I like when Cameron goes, "Did I start something?" and the crowd just starts going like supporting him. And it's like taking the poker part out of this. It just like it's great for them to interact with each other, and the crowd is responding to it as well, which is the part that I love the most about it. But one of the lines was that Cameron goes like, "What are the size of your balls?" And he goes, "There's raisins or cantaloupes," and then the crowd starts chanting raisins to Duke Hudson. Yeah, I think that's the only one that I remember. And then Duke was saying, "Oh, this is luck is for losers," like all the people in the crowd. And then obviously Cameron disagrees with that. But their back and forth is what I liked about the segment more than anything. I think it could have been done like the one they did before backstage rather than in the ring. That's the only part. But I like that it was there because the crowd interacted to it. That was the only that's what made the difference for me when it came to the segment as a whole.
Yeah,
Bubba Duke?
you're not wrong at all. If it wasn't for the crowd getting into it, I don't think I would have got into it. Like we had pointed out, he asked, "What cards do you have?" And he said, 2 cards. And then he yelled at him again, "No, what cards do you have?" And he just kind of goes, "Well, the dealer told me apparently the winning hand." And that's when he threw it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, did he super kick him off that chair?
Either a super kick or a big boot, something like that.
Yeah, it was to the front, so it was like a big boot to it.
He sold that kick
Mhm.
huge. Like I thought he was going to go out of the ring with the chair, and then the power bomb through the table. That table couldn't have folded around him any better, just to hide him so that if he was laughing, we didn't know. Because I probably would have laughed going through a table like that, especially a poker table. I mean, how many times can you get power bomb through a poker table? Like, come on, people.
I do love how they had Aisha Taylor list off the rules of Texas No Limit Hold'em poker. I'm like, all right, cool. Like that's where I was like, oh god, this could be a bad segment. When they were at the beginning of the segment with her, like with the lights down, like she's announcing the rules of a very special match, and it's telling us how poker works, and it's like
we're all like, yeah, we already know this. Like, let's get on with but them working back and forth without having to hold a mic worked for me because it made it like they had no clue there was cameras around. Like what I thought they were going to do was like they do in real poker where they literally dim all the lights around and it's just that table that's lit up. That would have been epic if they would have done like that detailed into it. But again, did it need it? No, it really didn't, because they did their job as professionals and sold it.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great.
Yep, it was it was on the same lines of everything else. It was another really good segment throughout the night. We then get Kyle O'Reilly backstage with Von Wagner, and Kyle O'Reilly shockingly brings up something that happened outside of NXT. I didn't know this existed. He brings up that Von Wagner is Adam Pearce's bodyguard from SmackDown, and I was shocked that got brought up.
A multiverse is going on.
Yes. And then he says, but forget about that, and let's forget it. He's like, I don't care that you're with Adam Pearce. That doesn't matter to me. He's like, let's forget about Legado del Fantasma. I'm not even mad about losing the match with them. Let's just focus on tonight. Von Wagner agrees. They do their little fist arm bump thing, and they walk off. Really another really good segment led by Kyle O'Reilly with Von Wagner. Again, just getting screen time, just getting the push from Kyle O'Reilly, just being there. It was at this point that apparently Fightful decided to tweet Kyle O'Reilly just counting down the days until his contract expires. And I'm like, he really seems to be enjoying himself. Like, I get that everybody thinks he's guaranteed to leave, but like, just because his friends are all gone doesn't mean he won't stay and be with Roddy. Like, he might enjoy this. He might enjoy being able to put young talent over. This may be something he's excited about.
Or he might not be stuck under his buddy's shadow anymore. So that's what's making it fun for him again.
Yeah. Because we all know how great Adam Cole is, and you can't dispute that he is. He's undisputedly great. Yeah. That being said, like Bubba Duke just said, Kyle O'Reilly's got a time to shine for himself. Even if it's in a tag team, he can be the star of the tag team and bring up somebody else, which could be something exciting for him. The forbidden door was opened by Cool Kyle, talking about SmackDown, yes. And Parrish also jumping in, saying Kyle O'Reilly leaving would be a huge mistake. I think it depends where he goes. If he goes to the revamped Ring of Honor in April, that might not be a bad space for him to land, depending on what they plan to do. It all depends on what they plan to do. And again, I know this is a topic for probably a Sunday brunch or a Saturday reacts. But a landing spot for Kyle O'Reilly, if he lands in AEW, yes, it's a mistake. Because you already have Bobby there. You already have Adam there. You really don't want to just redo the Undisputed Era. I mean, it would be great and it'll be fun, but I don't think you need that.
Wouldn't be the same.
Yeah. We have Choke Goat Gaming saying, I want to like Kyle and Von Wagner in the ring together. The backstage segment felt better to me than the match did. Wait till we see what Astrid said to me during the match, because I'm going to call her out for that one because it's great. We then have Dara Amazing saying there will be a hair versus hair match for Grimes versus Hudson. I think so. I think that's where we're headed. I think we're headed to Cameron Grimes possibly getting his head shaved. I wouldn't be opposed to that. With as hairy as he is, it might not be a bad idea. Dara Amazing also saying he doesn't want Kyle to leave. And he benefits more from being away from everything and everybody he knew prior to WWE. He's right. Like, other than Roddy Strong being there and being completely separate, I really do think Kyle benefits from being able to cast his own shadow onto somebody else, as opposed to being, like Bubba Duke says, under the shadow of an Undisputed Era, under the Red Dragon shadow, the Adam Cole shadow.
I think he is set now to make a big run and be a big time player. Now that these other guys aren't around, he can go, yeah, well, I can make it without them and watch and see. And this is what's going to happen. He's going to take off.
Yep.
So
we have a quality match between Kyle O'Reilly, Von Wagner, and as we call them here, JBBJ, which is Josh Briggs and oh God, what's his first name? Jensen and Briggs. That's what we're gonna call them, because I don't remember. Brooks Jensen. There it is. I was trying to figure out what the country name was. It's Brooks Jensen. But yes, we have that match, and during this match, Astrid goes, I'm totally disinterested in this. I can't even pay attention.
that's nothing.
Yeah.
I literally got up and that was my bathroom break. Not gonna lie, I seen the big dude and the little dude coming out. I'm like, well, of course they're gonna win. Okay, I gotta go to the bathroom.
It was a quality match. It took about, they had a nice little, commercial break segment in between.
Okay.
It got, about 10 minutes maybe. Yeah, we got, hopefully someday I can catch one of the BJ shirts. We have Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen helping me out because I couldn't figure out who it was. And Choke Goat Gaming fully agrees with Parrish on Kyle needing to grow without them. Again, Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner are a fun tag team. I like seeing Von Wagner out there getting more ring time, looking good in the ring, not being a complete mess. With a lot of young talent, you sometimes get them in a place where they feel out of place. This feels natural. It feels good. It feels like it's working for them. Bubba Duke, what do you think about Von Wagner's, just seeing him in general? I know you said you didn't watch much of the match.
He actually didn't. I thought he'd been in the ring for a long time as a tag team with O'Reilly. To be quite honest, I know they haven't because I know O'Reilly's past, but they looked really good together. He doesn't look like he's tripping over his feet. Like he's got, this is what we need to do, and he's getting it done. He's not messing around.
I think it also helps that he's Cal Bloom. In real life, he's Cal Bloom, son of Matt Bloom, who's the head trainer at the PC. So he's learning from somebody who's got quality wrestling talent in his blood. We can say all we want about the booking gimmicks of Lord Tensai and Prince Albert and all the fun things that have happened, but we can't say enough good about the fact that in the ring, Lord Tensai is a talented in-ring worker, and he's been able to teach other talented workers.
Oh yeah. Hey, when you got talent, it's not hard to rub that talent off on somebody else that's willing to absorb it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I get from Vaughn, is that he is, even from O'Reilly, he's just like, give me more, give me more. You could just see the way he looks at him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's intently listening to every syllable, every word. Okay, I'm getting what you're saying. I'm digging it. Let's go do it.
Yeah, it's a fun tag team. I'm excited to see where they go from here. Astrid, I know you were very uninterested in the match. What are your thoughts on Von Wagner, as a whole coming through right now as part of the 2.0 group?
Yeah, I like having him with Kyle because it just feels like that mentor relationship that they have going on, and he's been learning from him. I did like in the commentary, I forgot to write down who said it, but during the match, I was listening. Even though I was not watching, I was listening. They did say Kyle has trust issues based on his history, but they didn't give any example. I'm like, not that they didn't have to give us an example, but they didn't mention where the history came from. But they just said that he has trust issues based on like the past and NXT. It's like, I thought that was interesting because I guess they didn't want to mention Undisputed Era just like saying the name, but just like wanted to say like he has a history to it. So I thought it was interesting that they didn't mention it. But having them together, I like it, and having Imperium go like dismissing them, kind of like, yeah, they're a team and they're good together, but they won't beat us though. And I'm like, I like that connection they made there.
I again will continue to say it until I'm blue in the face. I love that Imperium is being able to talk in their native languages. It makes them feel so much more important. That being said, having subtitles for something that is essentially a live version of looking at something is still problematic to me. It's a small problem, but you feel like this is something that should have, like, if you're trying to pass off the wrestling as live, you can't then have a segment where they're talking about the team that they just saw wrestle and have subtitles on something that they're saying it.
You can't. Then how do you define that as live?
Because the wrestling isn't live, it's taped. NXT 2.0 is still currently being taped.
Oh, so they don't push it as being live then?
They don't push it as being live, but they don't tell you it's not either. So they're trying to make you think it's live, like with the crowd. They're like the live crowd when they're pumping, the idea of going on.
At that point in time, it is live to tape.
Live to tape. So the shows air as they go, but when they add in some of these backstage things, it's like I said, it's the smallest of problems for me.
That to me would tell me that it's not live.
Yep.
Having that subtitles.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
Like I said, it's a small thing for me, but it's like they try really hard to make it feel like it's not a taped and edited broadcast, and they do a really good job of that because I don't feel like it's taped as I watch it, except when Imperium starts having their subtitled promos. We then get Persia backstage with Indy Hartwell, and Indy's looking on through the doors of the medical center at Dexter, who she says is being taken to a local medical facility to be checked out for his hand, which is good. Again, continuing this thing of backstage stuff with all having things to do with it. Persia tells her that she needs to focus on their match. Indy says, I know, but I should be out there with Dexter, and I should go with Dexter. Persia tells her, fine, you go be with Dexter. I'll handle this. I got this. I'm like, oh, I wonder who she's facing next. And then we get to it, and I'm like, oh, now I know why she said she can handle that on her own.
Squash match.
And we're going to skip to that now, and then we're going to come back to the lashing out segment because I know the lashing out segment was in between, but the lashing out segment is important. I wanted to give it a little bit more time. Persia quickly defeats in a squash match Gabby Stevens and Jenna Levy.
You got the names.
I had to rewind it 3 times. I'm terrible at remembering the names of the squash match people. The only one I ever get is Ru Fung because I think his name is fantastic.
That's awesome. Ru Fung.
Ru Fung. And the best part is they won't even say his name. Like they instantly the NXT commentary goes to like a bad 2K version where they're like, "Oh, the opponent in the ring," and I'm like, "Just say Rufeng. It's such a cool name. Don't just skip on it." But I don't think they want him to get over.
Oh, I bet not. But they don't want him to get over, but he's getting over.
Yeah, and he will.
So just get over it and let the guy get over.
Yeah, so Robert Stone comes out and he's impressed with Persia, and this is where I'm going to let Astrid tell everybody about what she texted me in the Slack chat when she saw Robert Stone come out to look at Persia.
Wait, I gotta read it exactly how I sent it. Hold on, let me look.
Yep.
I have to do it exactly.
I had some thoughts about. I'm like, what's this guy doing?
Let's
He
see.
thinks.
And we will get to you in just a
Okay.
minute. You won't have much thoughts on this, but this is one really good one.
I said, "Oh no, don't go to Robert Stone. You don't want to get released, girl."
Yup. Robert Stone has a history of making people that he works with get released. Let's start with going with Chelsea Green. No longer with the company. She got called up to the main roster, had one match, got hurt, got released. We can go to Aaliyah and who was Aaliyah tagging with? Aaliyah was tagging with Vanessa Bourne.
Yeah.
Vanessa Bourne got released, and Aaliyah's still there. Shockingly, I don't know what blackmail filters she has. This girl has been there since the Breaking Ground stuff when the network first debuted, and she's still there.
Yeah.
Dara Amazing responding to Astrid's thing. And then if you want to go to the most recent stuff that Robert Stone has done with people that have gotten released, that would be Jessie Kamea and Frankie Monet, who have both most recently been released. So yeah, Robert Stone does not have a good track record with people working with him and then not being released from the company.
No lies detected here.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I
Yes,
would
Parrish.
hear that guy. I'd be like, your locker room's down the hall to the left. Thinking what's in it? Go down there.
When I saw him coming out, I was like, nope, get away from her. Get away from her, please. Please, I don't want this. I'm just like, I got nervous.
Yes, Parrish. Aaliyah is still there, and she's been there since Sasha and Bailey were main eventing NXT. That's how long she's been here. And she's just now getting a shot on the main roster. And she's still not ready. And the Talking Smack promo is enough to talk about that. And we'll talk about that another day because that's not NXT. But the fact that promo is getting so much buzz, it reminds me of good lucha things, is not a good thing for her. And yes, Dara, holy crap, yes, she's been around. She was on the same season of Breaking Ground that had Baron Corbin in NXT. It had Sasha and Bailey as they were getting ready to main event the first women's main event in NXT history at a takeover. Like, that's how long this girl has been around. So the fact that she's still around isn't a great sign for Robert Stone. Nobody can get this poor girl released. Again, I want to know the blackmail photos she has on somebody.
I was just gonna say, what's it gonna take to get her released?
Yes, it's she's gonna have to do something. Bubba Duke, did you have any thoughts on the squash match, handicap match?
I just kind of laughed at it because this girl is bigger than her opponents put together. Like, I'm not saying she's fat. No, I'm not saying that. Just she is very tall, and the girl's got muscle. Like,
she's thick. She's very thick in a very good way.
Is what she is.
Is it thick with two C's?
Yeah. She's Jessica Havoc thick. Like, I adore Jessica Havoc in the way that she portrays that thick girl, kind of just like, I'm a badass. The Jordan Grace, Jessica Havoc body type. That's the kind of body type that Persia has. And it's great because you can put that out there as a good thing.
Yeah, it's just you knew from the beginning that as soon as you seen her opponents, and countdown starts, like 3, 2, okay, matches. I mean, it was what it was. Again, it wasn't bad. By no means did I hate the fact that she went out there and did she win right out? No, they beat her up a little bit. I mean, they made it look as believable as possible. And again, get in the ring, hit your spots, and let's get out and get to the next thing.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, Dara Amazing. Yeah, Persia reminds him a little bit of Havoc. She's got that thick girl look to it. She dresses in all black / green, and she's got that thick girl look. So I'm going to go back a little bit because we're going to talk about that lashing out segment because Grayson Waller really put his flag in the ground. Grayson Waller put his flag in the ground and made himself a star in this lashing out segment. So it starts with Lash coming out, and I still want her theme music to be the music for our show. I know we can't do it. It's copyrighted, but I want that music because it talks about spilling tea and everything else, and I want it as our theme song, but we can't have it. So she goes ahead and she calls out Kaylee Ray for walking her way through Toxic Attraction Celebration, but then turns it into a good thing because she's like, look at you, girl, going out there. They're going to take you on 3-on-1 and you don't care. And I'm like, oh, maybe we're going to get Lash Legend versus like Kaylee Ray. But no, she takes Kaylee Ray's side. I'm like, okay, cool. So maybe the first time we see Lash in the ring is when Lash comes out to help Kaylee Ray when Kaylee Ray gets beat up by all of Toxic Attraction later on, maybe. Setting seats. Grayson Waller then walks in and Lash seems very unhappy and unimpressed. And he grabs a chair and he says, I have some tea to spill. And instantly she goes, oh, that's cool. Come on and sit down. It'll be great. And so she goes ahead and says, spill your tea. And he talks about how he's so unhappy that all the vets are back here talking what they're talking. He goes, I didn't have to be in this business for a handshake and a hot dog working in front of 27 people in a school gym. All I had to do was be on reality TV and send a video to WWE. And I'm like, okay, dude, there you go. That's how you make a mark on this business. You have a promo like that where you call out the old way. And again, it builds this 2.0 thing of we're building new young stars in a new and different way. The old indie vibe of having guys like Tommaso Ciampa and Pete Dunne and Johnny Gargano who spend 10 years on the indies working at the local, VFW in front of 20 to 100 people and getting paid, like he says, in a handshake and a hot dog. It's really, really cool. And he says the DIY style stories are dead. And this is the new wave. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's going to be interesting. I want to see how Tommaso feels about that. And I'm like, I bet we'll hear Tommaso next week on that. Nope. We're going to hear from Tommaso very soon about that. We then get Dakota. I'm sorry. I'm going to talk to everybody else. I just stepped over everybody on that one. Bubba Duke, what were your thoughts on Grayson Waller and lashing out?
I'm an old school guy. I want to call up, hey, listen, I know I'm probably going to get killed, but hardcore match, me and that dude, just so I could beat him senseless. I don't care that you got into the WWE because you were Mr. Reality TV.
For those who don't know, he was apparently on the Australian Survivor.
Yeah.
Josh likes to tell us. It's like Josh was like, I like almost all the Australians. I really hate Grayson Waller because apparently he was a dick on Survivor. And that was like his way to get it. And then he sent the video to WWE and he's like a social media guy.
Yeah. No, I'm very, like I said, old school. You need to work to get where you are, or you don't deserve it. Having things handed to you because, oh, I did it. Don't care. You didn't work to get there. It's just the way I am.
But now, do you think he really feels this way, or do you think this is just great heat promo?
Oh, no, that's great heat promo.
Okay.
100%.
So, Bubba Duke's bought in. Like, Bubba Duke's like, yeah, I'm in on this because he made me feel bad.
Oh, I wanted to punch the guy out. You know you're doing something right as a heel when you invoke that kind of anger out of somebody that never really gets that angry about that kind of stuff. But, dude, I wanted to reach to the TV and punch him out just for saying that kind of stuff. So, good job, WWE, for going with this storyline. Because, dude, I'll tell you right now, you know how many billions of people are just livid, hearing that. I'm not the only one.
I can't wait to check social media in the morning when people get a chance to watch NXT. Like right now it's dominated with Spider-Man. But like in the morning when Spider-Man news kind of dies down because trailer two the second trailer dropped tonight at 8:00 during NXT for the new Spider-Man movie.
I don't even care.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm not trying to be rude. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Remove. No.
I'm a nerd. I love it. So I got all the nerd accounts. Like, so I'm seeing all my Spider-Man news. But I can't wait in the morning when you start getting the.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I love Spider-Man. I've been a Spider-Man guy since I was little. But right now, I don't care about Spider-Man because this guy's got me so riled up for saying what he said.
Just gonna leave this here and let Bubba Duke see it.
Yeah, I see that.
But I think it's great. Astrid, your thoughts on the lashing out segment?
No, that's just like it kept me hooked, and I'm like, yeah, when are we gonna get a response? Not only from Ciampa but Gargano as well. That's the other one I was waiting for the response from. But my favorite line though, towards the end, he says, "Don't be mad at me because the game has changed and it's mine now." And then when Lash goes, "Clean out on aisle 8, the tea has been spilled." I was like, "Oh my word!"
It was epic.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to. I seen this chick sitting on a thing and she's acting all, and I'm like, "Oh my God, please, why? No, not a stupid segment." And then he walked out, and I kind of went, "Oh, okay, I'll give it a minute." And then he says what he said. I was like, "Oh, I want to kill you."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did exactly what an old school heel would do.
Yep.
You don't want to hear that I took the easy way into this job, because that's not how you get into this job. Technically, it's blood, sweat, and tears over 10, 20 sometimes years, and then you get your break for 5 years. Some guys. And then you're done. They don't want to hear that dude was on TV and went, "Hey, Vince, here's my tape." And now he's wrestling. Well, we all know very well that
that's not exactly what happened.
But get in that ring and prove to me that you can do it. It wasn't, "Oh, here's your contract." We know that. But if you're going to be a good heel, like said Bubba Duke was, I'm a pretty nice guy now, but when I was doing my thing, I was a heel. And you said some pretty mean, pretty rotten things and did some mean things to get people to hate you. Like calling people stupid or making fun of people. It was part of the gimmick. And this guy has the gimmick down. I hate to love him, but I love to hate him.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing your job right, bud. Keep doing it.
We get a Dakota Kai pre-match interview where she talks about being lost since she had her loss to Raquel Gonzalez at TakeOver. And the first time she felt like she started to get a handle on it was when she hit Raquel with a shovel. She then starts talking about Halloween Havoc, and Mandy Rose and Toxic Attraction interrupt. And they go ahead and talk about how she isn't just owed one from Toxic Attraction. She feels like she's owed twice from Toxic Attraction. Toxic Attraction does come in and does pay that back, as we talked about in the main event, the first part of that. Then at the end of this segment, we get the payoff to the GYV thing from earlier, when GYV comes up with the ladies tag team titles, and it's like, yeah, we found these on some tech guys who were Skyping their Nana, saying that they were the tag team champions. I'm just like, oh, you guys pawning it off on somebody else. Oh, I don't want them to be a comedy act, but I also know that Zach Gibson is really good at being funny. And so it's like, oh, I don't know what I want out of this, because I want Gibson to just be Gibson. But Astrid, what did you think about Dakota Kai and her pre-match interview?
Yeah, I love her interview. Maybe I was paying attention more to when she was looking towards the side of Mackenzie. She kept looking at Mackenzie, looked back, and there was nobody there. And she kind of like started glitching again. So I was like, if you're not Vanellope people on streets and you're not wrecking Ralph, why are you twitching? I have no idea. So I just want to know why she's twitching. Just tell me already.
Not Racket Ralph. That's a great one. Thank you. That made my night. But I can't argue with you. I was the same. Why are you like? Do you need somebody to hold your hand?
She's been like this since she came back. I don't
Mhm.
understand what it is, and they haven't fully explained it.
Yeah.
But this is how she's been for the last 2 or 3 weeks since she came back. Like
Okay.
she's just like this part of her's lost
Mm-hmm.
So she's playing the concussion thing right now.
a little bit.
That's what it is. You're playing the concussion. I've got a brain injury. Because it's always like, what is she looking at? And then even the girl doing the interview was like, what? Was Andre the Giant standing behind her? Like she's looking up. And I'm like, what? What are you seeing? Like, I was weirded out a little bit, and then now that listening to you guys, I'm getting that backstory going. Oh, she's the one that got hit in the head. That explains why. So yeah, she's acting like she's got a concussion, and she's hearing or seeing things that nobody else can see.
No. I'm going to skip the beginning of Tommaso Ciampa's promo here just to go to a quick thing. That's the last thing that we're going to talk about before we talk about Tommaso Ciampa, which is going to end the night. KC Squared, as we call them, like Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter, are at all these different festivals and talking about how they're the life of the party. My words from my notes are literally KC Squared is now the life of the party. ... Okay. ... I don't understand what it means to be the life of the party. I'm the nerdy guy who was never invited to the party. So I'm like, cool, you want to be the life of the party. Great. Can you wrestle too?
I was thinking, like, never seen you wrestle. Can you wrestle?
They're getting much better. Casey Catanzaro has come a long way from her American Ninja Warrior. Because that's where they found. That's where they found her. She was on.
I thought she looked familiar.
Yep, she was one of the female contestants on the first few seasons of American Ninja Warrior, and they brought her in to go ahead and
give her a shot. Why not?
Give her a shot, and she's improved incredibly over the years. She's really improved over the years.
Good for her.
Just want to shout this out. Our friend Cody, who's unable to be here tonight, so we have Bubba Duke in. Cody just wants to say hi.
Taking your job.
I don't know. We'll talk, Bubba Duke. We'll talk. I don't know. We had to steal. We had to steal from Pluggo's budget. I'm hoping he hasn't noticed yet. We had to steal from Pluggo's budget to be able to get you on tonight. So
listen, I had to sell a lot of moonshine to be on this program tonight. So
Cody tells us that Canada won 2-1 over Mexico. So that must be where Cody was today. So good for Cody and good for Canada winning their qualifier for the World Cup. So now we go back to Tommaso Ciampa, and this was great. He does that sitting in a chair promo where he's talking about another budget being lost. Oh man,
that's okay. I saw enough moonshine to make up for the budget. We're good.
So he's sitting in his chair like he always does, and he's cutting a promo, and he talks about how the young talent is he wants to be respected, and he wants to hold the NXT title to be respectable. And all these fun things, and he's like, but these kids, they lack the respect and they lack the determination. He's like, screw it, I'm going to address it in the ring.
He threw that chair pretty far too when he stood up. Like he straightened his legs out really hard, and it shot that chair all the way to the back of the set. That was pretty cool. That was some intensity.
Yeah, it was. And just so we're clear, Cody is correctly calling me out. In my notes, I do not write Tommaso or Ciampa in my notes ever. I just write Daddy because it's Daddy Ciampa.
Nice.
So it is Daddy Ciampa Ed. I need to make sure I say it. But like I said, it's literally in my notes every time Tommaso Ciampa is there because I can't spell Ciampa properly. I spell it like literally for my own sanity. I spell it Champ IA.
I would too. I would too.
And I can't figure out how to spell Tommaso to save my life.
Don't even.
So I just literally write down Daddy, and it works.
Cute. As long as you remember, who cares? But this segment, the thing that really threw me off and was totally unnecessary, was the announcer saying, "Oh, the champ is really coming to the ring." I think the chair flying across the set. and him storming off of camera was notification enough that he's coming to the ring, because he said it himself. Forget this, I'm going to the ring. Everything goes flying and like unnecessary, people. It's just being redundant. That's like saying tomato or tomato. It's the same freaking thing. Sorry.
It's one of the, it's one of the things about Vic that gets to me. Every now and then Vic says the obvious, and it doesn't need to be said. But that being said, I'd still rather Vic Joseph over, a lot of other announcers. There's a lot, like, especially right now. I'll do it. I'm gonna get some heat for it. Jim Ross. Jim Ross right now gets on my nerves so much on commentary. AEW is a product for younger demographic and the younger people, and they want to hit that 18 to 49. Then why do you have Jim Ross as your lead commentator?
Because we're part of their demographic.
The darkness.
No, I just heard bang and the power went out.
Oh no.
You might lose me in a minute.
Okay. Hopefully we can figure this out and Bubba Duke's power comes back. If you need to let us to put you in the backstage to go and figure that out, we can if you need to. Dara Amazing says, "Oh shit!" For
Yeah,
Bubba
that was
Duke.
creepy.
Yeah, you look like in a horror movie right now with the camera angles.
It does. So we're just gonna skip towards the end of the show, and we're gonna let Bubba Duke talk about this until Bubba Duke disappears.
Wait, I just want to show. Can I show this comic? Because that's what I was thinking when you said tomato and tomato.
Okay. Tomato, Tommaso Ciampa, it all works.
Right.
Well, no, I don't want Nightbot. I also wanted this one. Wait, did he come to the ring? Sarcastically. Oh, yeah. An AEW debut. Somebody's going to pop up behind Bubba Duke.
Please don't do that. You can't do that to me. Listen, Carl vapes, and he gets it thick enough out there that I think the Undertaker's going to come out from around the corner and like just annihilate him.
Oh, perish with the comment of the night. We have Bubba Dark.
Bubba T. Thank you. I'm here all week.
Boogeyman, Bray Wyatt, Undertaker, could be any
I
of them.
would scream like a girl. I'm telling you right now, that 3-year-old little that would be me. Yeah.
So Daddy comes to the ring, and as he's coming to the ring, he calls out Mello, saying that Mello's sitting here talking all this stuff about the A title because he knows he can't take Tommaso Ciampa. And if he were to take his shot at Tommaso Ciampa, he wouldn't just miss. It would be an air ball. Love that one. Grayson Waller is next, and he cuts a promo on him talking about the lashing out promo and says that he wants to teach him some respect, I believe is what he said. I forgot to write exactly down what it was. And then Braun Breaker's music hits as he was about to call somebody else out. And I'm really interested to see who that third person was going to be. But he calls out Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker comes out and cuts him off. And he says that the new crop must really piss off Tommaso Ciampa, or as I call him, Daddy. But he doesn't care because all he's focused on is taking the NXT title. To which Ciampa goes, that was pretty good. You did a good job. But here's the end of Halloween Havoc, and this is how the show ends. And he goes ahead and plays the clip of Braun Breaker losing to him at Halloween Havoc. And then he goes, it was 1, 2, 3. And you don't even have a 33 1/3% chance of winning. And throws the mic at him and walks away. I'm sorry, then he calls him a little pup. He goes, "You're just a little pup," as his dad was definitely a bulldog in the ring.
Dog-faced gremlin.
Yeah, dog-faced gremlin. And he goes, "But I'm the NXT champ." Flips the mic, walks away, and that's the end of the segment. A+ for Tommaso Ciampa. As Bubba Duke seems to be coming back to life here, we got a little bit of light in the room.
What happened? My awesome light exploded.
Yes.
Yeah, it burnt out.
Okay. We're gonna go to Bubba Duke before anything else. Your thoughts on the Daddy promo?
I
just want to see if I can pop him again.
Oh, you got me, dude. I was ready to answer this one too, and then you said "Daddy," and I'm done. Uh, very well played by NXT. It was nice to see Breaker come out and confront and give his piece. Are we going to see a match? That would be cool. Again, another one. But it made the end of the show. It was the that bow that you needed on the top just to complete the show, and you're done. It did it. It wrapped it up nicely.
Astrid?
I'm like, how did you miss the hot dog line?
Oh, how did I miss? You can take the hot dog. I know where you can stick it.
I'm disappointed in you that you mentioned it.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't touching after the daddy comment. I was done.
Yeah, that part where he said about the hot dog, and then the way he looked at the camera when he said it, I was like, holy crap. I'm like, and yeah, I was like kind of like curious. I'm like, he was like going down the list, and I was like, I just want him to continue on with the list of people. Because I'm like, I'm sure there was more than 3 names. I'm sure. And I would have liked, I was curious to have more of those. Obviously, the way he said the Steiner math joke, that's the first thing in their chat. I was like, Steiner math, he said it. Finally, somebody said it. And I was like waiting for it. And I'm like, I was so, like, I was laughing so much when it happened. Then I said it to you in the chat. And then just like, I had to say it to somebody and then somehow. So it's pretty funny seeing that part. But just like, I like how he had a response for every single one of them, and it was a different response to everybody too. It wasn't anything repeated either, but like the new crop of guys. But yeah, it sold me on the match even more, and just at the same time, it kind of made me want to have Ciampa as champion, like keep him as champion, so he can go against all these guys that he mentioned and get the rest of the list too.
And there were 3 people. He started to talk about somebody else. I missed it on who that third person was, and that's when Braun Breaker came out. So I don't remember or know if he ever got a name out for who the third person was. It could be somebody like Tony D'Angelo. It could be somebody like Joe Gacy. It could be somebody. It could be anybody. It would have to be somebody from the new crowd. Hell, it could be Von Wagner. It could have been anybody. It's definitely a 2.0 guy. It could have been Andre Chase. Maybe he was going to talk about my man Andre Chase.
Could have been me, Bubba Duke.
It could have been Bubba Duke. We never know. Tommaso Ciampa calling out Bubba Duke. But we did get announced for next week that we're going to have, I'm assuming the main event is going to be the triple threat match for the North American title between Carmelo Hayes, Pete Dunne, and Johnny Gargano, which is going to be fantastic. And we did get announced that next week we're going to get Tommaso Ciampa versus Grayson Waller. I'm excited to see that match after tonight. And it's going to be a lot of people wanting to see Grayson Waller get his ass kicked. I think Bubba Duke's probably one of them.
Hell yeah.
Parrish asks a good question. Is it me or does Pete Dunne get the shaft big time in this title picture? No, I mean, Johnny Gargano had essentially the one-on-one match, I thought, at War Games sewn up. And then Pete Dunne gets added into this mix and gets the triple threat because he pinned Carmelo Hayes last week. So I think, I don't necessarily say he gets the shaft big time. I think it really screws Johnny, whereas Johnny was headed to that one-on-one match.
Yeah, definitely Johnny is the one that's getting the pooch here because he had it on lockdown. So he thought, for like you said, that one-on-one, mano-y-mano, winner takes all match. Now he's got another guy thrown in here that he could potentially be not even involved in the winning or the losing of the match. So,
yep. And Parrish clarifies that I think he's talking about being an NXT title contender. So maybe that's with the Grayson Waller stuff and the Braun Breaker stuff, with Pete Dunne not being up at that level with Tommaso Ciampa, which is fine because I like the fact that they're pushing this new school thing, and that once you have one of the young kids get the title, you can then push Pete Dunne against a Braun Breaker, or you can push Pete Dunne against a Carmelo Hayes if Carmelo Hayes takes the title off of a Ciampa, and you get some of those matchups coming in. There's a lot of fun you can do with Pete Dunne. but I don't think he's getting screwed too much just yet. I think he's still very intricate in some of the feuds that are going on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we have one more comment from Parrish before we go through our plugs and stuff. From before the 2.0 switch, Dunn was primed to be in the title picture, and now he's a toss in somewhere else. I agree. I agree that he kind of is a toss in somewhere else, but I don't think he was ever planned to win the NXT title to begin with. That's the thing. I think he's fine with it because he was in that picture. They did the number one contenders match. And more importantly, I think if he was going to be running for the title, it would have been a story with him and Joe, specifically for him and Joe. And I think with Joe, out for, we're going to say concussions because that's most likely what it is that's keeping him out right now. That's why they're trying to find something for Pete Dunne to do.
I think they found a pretty good spot to put him
Yeah.
for what you want to call, we'll call it holding.
Mhm.
He's in a pretty good position right now. Like, he's not at the bottom being forgot about. He's still kind of in the mix, waiting, I would take it.
He's still on TV, which is more than we can say for a lot of people.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
Especially WWE. Like, the dude's on TV, and that's important. He's still out there in the public mind. He's still getting shown off, and he could end up getting called up at some point soon if they have nothing for him. I could see him on a Raw. I could see him on a SmackDown, going ahead and doing some stuff.
That could be interesting.
Cody jumping in. Dunn turned on Lorcan and Birch and then lost Ridge. He's a lost bruiserweight. Mm-hmm. And then, wow, I ain't seen Jonah. Yeah, we haven't. Right before 2.0, he was supposed to, have some big matches. And, there was that number one contenders match between Kyle O'Reilly and LA Knight and Tommaso Ciampa and Pete Dunne that turned into the championship match because all of a sudden Joe wasn't medically cleared and he had to relinquish the title. And so since 2.0 started, he hasn't been there. Hopefully he comes back. But again, you never know with concussions. Concussions kept Alexa Bliss out for months upon months. Concussions made Corey Graves retire until recently. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential that we may never see Joe again in a WWE ring with the way that they take concussions and everything else that's going on. But we're going to go ahead and start doing our plugs. And, of course, we're going to start with our guest. So, Mr. Bubba Duke, we're going to give you the big screen, and you're going to go ahead and tell us about all the fun things that you're doing and put over Turnbuckle Talk.
Yes. So you'll find me, Bubba Duke, on my own. I have my own personal account on Facebook and YouTube and now Twitch. And that is The Boar's Nest with Bubba Duke, where I do anything and everything, talk about whatever we want, movies, music. I am having a segment pretty soon about local bands in different areas that are not signed to big contracts. And then you can find me with Carl Carafelt over at Turnbuckle Studios doing Turnbuckle Talk and Turnbuckle Rewind, where it is 100% wrestling all the time. Other than that, there's nothing else. You can find me at Love Wrestling.
Yes.
Apparently.
And I just so I can say, and I'll put it up on the screen on one of them. I believe this is the Boar's Nest, correct?
Yes, sir.
All
and then
right,
you
so
just put it with Bubba Duke.
Okay.
Yeah, join the Facebook club because I keep a lot of updates there. My YouTube page is my show plus the stuff I do for like Xbox and stuff. And then Twitch is strictly Xbox.
There we go. Fun. We've got Astrid, the big star, getting the big screen.
Oh no, I hate this big screen. Anyway.
Everybody does. It's fine.
But yeah, usually Saturday reacts when I'm not working, and then Tuesdays with Ed and Cody at NXT, and who knows what else will happen once my schedule lines up at work. But other than that, I'll be on my Twitter talking about wrestling, whatever I'm watching. So be like it is here, Astrid Pizarro. So there we go.
You can find me here helping Cody and Astrid hosting NXT. You can find me in the chats for most of our wonderful Love Wrestling products, including Turnbuckle Talk, every Tuesday at 6:05. You can go ahead and find me on Twitter right here at nfries12584, and you can find me moderating for Tom Collahew's Twitch channel on Mondays and Fridays there as well. And Bubba Duke, as I go to the screen with all three of us before we get ready to go, Dare Amazing has a question. He says, is Bubba the Boar's Nest? It is the Boar's Nest with Bubba Duke, I believe is how you're going to find that,
It's
right?
The Boar's Nest with Bubba Duke.
I'm going to go ahead and pop that in chat one more time.
Yep, that's fine. I was going to write it, but it won't let me.
I'm going to use the Love Wrestling one.
Ah, there you go. But yeah, you can find me there. Like I said, Twitch. The Facebook fan page is The Boar's Nest with Bubba Duke. Same with YouTube. It's The Boar's Nest with Bubba Duke. Yep, just like that. Exactly.
And we're going to go ahead and end with a joke from Parrish. He goes, did you know if you can give a man a ticket, he can fly for a day? But if you push him out of a plane at 30,000 feet, he can fly for the rest of his life. Because his life will be over as he lands after falling from 30,000 feet. Unless he's Loki and he gets the Heimdall to catch him out of the airplane when he's what was it? DB Cooper from the Loki series. Sorry, again, nerd. I apologize. With that being said, spoilers. If you haven't seen Loki by now, you're not a true fan and you deserve spoilers.
We're out of the no spoiler space at this point.
That being said, this has been Love Wrestling and that's been NXT. Bubba Duke, it was great having you on. Thank you very much for jumping in and helping us out tonight. I know NXT is not normally on your weekly agenda for wrestling to watch.
It is now.
It is now.
It caught me that as mellow as this has been, for what you say, mellow for an episode, it actually caught my attention.
Yeah.
I'm going to be watching NXT now.
Like I said, it wasn't necessarily like it was a bad show or a slow show. It was just nothing spectacular. Like everything was just good. Just a quality good show.
They're maintaining the story, telling the story. And Cody, you're welcome, buddy. I appreciate you guys even thinking about having me on the show. Because I'm literally like the baby of podcasting. I'm just starting out. So thank you. And you guys all have a great night. And hopefully I'll be back soon.
All right. And with that, we have been NXT. And we will catch you next time.